You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay. Welcome, everybody, to We Have Issues, Geek Elite Media show that's about everything literary. Books, comic books, webcomics, manga, everything else you might be reading. We are here to talk about it. As always, I am your host, Keith, and I'm joined by my stalwart sidekick, who's always at my side, host Sway.
Hey, and a lot of solid books this week.
Yeah, it's a very varied week.
Yeah.
I think if there is a theme to the week, it's the letter S. Because I noticed like 12 books start with the letter S. So we'll be definitely talking about that. I'm trying to throw a theme every week, guys. So we are going to go straight into our books. But first, not straight into the books, because we have some news. Some fun news, and then some potentially, and I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this, some potentially industry-changing news.
Nice.
That I think got past a lot of people. Ooh. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do is pull that up. But we'll start with the basic stuff first, because it's fun. First of all, we are getting a crossover in Marvel that was delayed because of COVID, and it's finally coming out, and I'm very excited about it, because it's something that I think is going to harken back to things I've talked about in the past that Josue didn't get to experience in real life.
Yeah.
We are getting the Darkhold saga.
Oh, yes.
Which I think is going to definitely bring us down the, the Ghost Rider-y, vengeance era, which is really, really great. So we're getting it, and the cool thing is it's starting off with a one-shot, and it's going to be written by Steve Orlando, who's been killing it lately.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And Cian Tormey. So, it's basically a mini event. It's going to be a series of one-shots featuring Iron Man, Wasp, Black Bolt, Blade, and Spider-Man as they work to stop Doctor Doom from destroying reality, etc., etc. And then basically, it's going to be the group of heroes has to read through the Darkhold, and it turns them insane.
That's cool.
So, yeah. And there's going to be, if you look at that list, that'd be a lot of fun, but also they're going to involve Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, those are the covers I'd seen.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting. And I'm excited. Blade with the Darkhold thing going, that's going to be a lot of fun. So just thought I want to mention that. We do have another crossover coming up, so Marvel still wants my money. So
always.
Next thing, Marvel is bringing back Kazar, however you say it yourself. The Jungle Dude.
Right.
He's getting a new miniseries called Lord of the Savage Land, and it's going to be written by Zach Thompson, which is great.
Cool.
He's the one that did Yondu.
Talking about. Nice.
Yeah. The artist is going to be Herman Gracia, and it's going to follow up, remember Empire, when he was killed and brought back to life?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically following up from that. And it's basically him returning from the dead. He has this new power, and he's trying to evolve as a person and stuff, so looks pretty cool. I'm pretty dope. I'm pretty excited about that, so that's cool. So now that we get that casual stuff out of the way, let's talk about this industry-changing news that I found this way. It's going to start off small, but there is a company called Comic Tags, and it's a new product that is partnered with Scout, and we've become fans of Scout lately.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a new way to both distribute and collect digital comic books. Now, you and me have talked about it. We don't mind reading digitally, but we like to collect. We like to have.
True. Yeah.
So, the way this works is Comic tags are limited edition collectible cards. They're basically trading cards. But on the back of the card is a code to download a PDF of the comic itself.
Oh, that's cool.
So I can actually give you an idea of what the design of it's going to look like. So, like, you see these just little cards hanging?
Interesting, yeah.
And so you can actually collect the cards and put them in a card binder. They're going to take up way less space than comics.
Right.
It's also going to use way less paper.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's pretty cool, too. Like,
And you can still show off your collection. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, I don't know if this is going to, take off, but it's a really, really good idea. And I think, honestly, it depends on how the PDF download works. Does it work more than once? What if you lose your device with it on it? That kind of thing.
Because it's in the name, too, of what they're trying to do with it, trading cards. So it's kind of like, are these comics shareable?
Yeah. And the price is currently $6.99 a piece. But keep in mind, this isn't for single issues. This is for trades.
Oh, damn. It's like a whole book.
For $7.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. And the first wave of releases are going to be Scout Comics' most popular series so far, which is The Mall, White Ash, Mindbender, Stabbity Bunny, It Eat What Feeds It, Gut Ghost, Solar Flare, and The Source. All books I need to catch up on anyways. So
yeah.
It might be pretty cool. I'm gonna hit up the Samurai Comics guys when I go into the store and see what they think and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's really interesting stuff. I just want to make sure I brought that up. What do you think? What do you think of the idea, I should say?
I kind of dig the idea. Just something else to collect is like where my nerd brain is going to. But then the actual product itself, where it's like, yeah, digital comics, but there's something else to it than just be sure to grab this code. No, I dig it a lot.
Yeah. One thing I really like is, my immediate thought was Amiibo.
Yeah.
Like, you have a cool little collectible, but it also has like a digital use.
I have a shitload of Amiibos. I love those things.
Like, those are really collectible. People dig that shit. So, it makes a lot of sense to me. So, yeah. But yeah, I just want to make sure I bring that up. It was just too cool not to. So, now, we'll move on. Unless you have any other news, anything else you think of?
The Bad Idea Final 5 books I got announced were actually not that bad.
Yeah, I mean...
I took the plunge. I took the blind plunge yesterday. Just because I was already following it through. And like I've been saying, it's just like, I wouldn't have a problem with all the trolling if like the books were weren't bad. Like, for the most part, I basically enjoyed every single thing. So why not on these last few things? So, and that last one, that Odin's Eye, just was like definitely the pun intended eye catcher.
Honestly, and I mean this, I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but that would be a book that I would have easily picked up if I wasn't turned off by this company.
Okay.
They basically lost my business, is what I will say. And that was an easy sell for me. Anything Vikings is an easy sell. And it looked really cool to me. But I was like, they're actively trolling me. Why would I give them a dime of my money?
Yeah. But again, like, the books weren't bad. The product was shit. Again, Scout tends to be kind of hit or miss for the most part. And this time it was just like, if they were actually shit books, then yeah, maybe for sure, like, fuck these guys. But, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I'm glad one of us is. So I just can't bring myself to do it. But cool. All right, well, let's move on and start talking about some comics, guys. So we have a lot of books. We will not waste your time. We're going to go as quick as we can through this. However, you guys know we always start not with a bang, but a boom. Boom Studios, Josue. Kick it off with Storyteller Tricksters 4.
Yes, Jim Henson's The Storyteller Tricksters. This was written by Robin Kaplan, art by A.L. Kaplan, and lettering by Jim Campbell. On this one, like I was saying on Twitter, I can't believe I didn't see it coming or how I did not expect it. First, for as Tricksters go, of course, they had to be a Loki. Loki the Matchmaker. It's such a sweet tale. It was kind of like that Mariko Tamaki story with the Thor and Loki, just a little bit like toned down, not as super dark, just a tale of Loki and his little adventures and how he would just go around being cunning as ever. Only in this one, oh my god, do I fucking love this design of Loki. He's drawn in this like most androgynous looking of ways. He's just so pretty throughout the whole thing. Every time he's just so captivating. Yeah, and in this case, as he shows up, he's like clutching something shiny, and it seems like he's escaping something. Thor catches like, "Hey, I need you to fucking help me. Don't tell anybody, but I fucking lost Mjolnir, so please don't tell anybody while I try to figure this shit out." And Loki's like, "Yeah, no, sure." Immediately tells everybody. He devises a plan to be able to get the hammer because he knows where it is. Since Thor left it in Jotunheim with all the giants. So now the leader of the giants is keeping it. It's like, oh, this is just fucking mine. I found it. So Loki concocts this elaborate plan on the only way to get this hammer back is that the giant wanted Freya for a bride. And Freya wasn't going to do it because Freya was also busy looking for a lost necklace that she can't find. So Loki goes, all right, I'll help you find your necklace if you just do this one favor for me. You just have to help me out. But his favor is that he needs to borrow her wings. And it's like, sure. And so the plan now is to now trick the giant with Thor as Freya. As a bride, and Thor's like, "What? I'm not going to do something so degrading or whatever. It's like too like not masculine." It's like, okay, but then Loki's like, "But isn't it more shameful if somebody else gets the hammer for you, or if everybody else finds out you lost the hammer and you wouldn't do this for it?" It's like, all right, point taken. So Thor,
this is an actual Norse myth, and it was in the Neil Gaiman Norse mythology book.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So this fable. So
it's that story, and he shows up, and Thor is just being fucking Thor. And evidently becomes the perfect bride for this giant.
Yeah, Loki keeps talking him into it, being like, "Why is he eating? Or is she eating so much?" He's like, "She hasn't eaten in 7 days."
Yep,
Less for you. Yeah,
exactly what happens.
It's one of my favorite Thor stories. It's
great. So basically, everybody gets what they want, especially Loki. In the end, Loki just wanted the wings. Basically, the thing where it started, him clutching the shiny thing, was said necklace that he had stolen. But yeah, and the whole point why the story was being told by said storyteller was he and the dog were outside in the yard, and thunder started rumbling and scared the dog, and of course it spawned a story about the gods. But yeah, very lovely. Again, have a huge crush on this Loki in particular. Like, man, like the way they're just drawn, so like it kept shifting. It reminded me of Desire from Sandman, just very androgynous, very shifting, like in the facial features and tones. Oh God, very very pretty.
Nice. All right, next up, Firefly, brand new verse number 4, written by Josh Lee Gordon, illustrated by Fabiana Mascolo, colored by Lucia Di Giamarino, letter by Jim Campbell. It's a number 4, so that's usually the part where me and Josue only give a very brief review. This continues to be a really good series. I'm really enjoying it. We really get to spend a little bit more time with our main antagonist, we think, and kind of see where we're going from here. Not a lot of story development in this specific issue, but if you're a Firefly fan, this is a non-missable series. You should be reading this. Of all the Firefly comics, this is, except for maybe A Shepherd's Tale, which I love, this is probably the best of those. So definitely check it out. Next up, I picked up a number 1 called Save Yourself.
I almost did this one too.
Did you look at it at all?
You know, I couldn't find it where it was open because one of the stores I do go to where they would usually have everything, they're already pre-bagged, which is kind of why I like the store. You get a free bag with it. But I always feel bad taking it out, especially if I'm not going to get it in the end. So I couldn't get a chance to peek at it.
Gotcha. Okay. Written by Bones Leopard, art by Kelly and Nicole Matthews, and letter by Jim Campbell. So it's a story of a young woman who is kind of like a homebody and stuff, and she gets tricked into going to like singles night at a friend's place. And the representation of the Wahoo is what I'll say in this. Like Destiny York levels of representation in this book.
Well, that's dope.
She gets bumped into by this sexy lady.
Oh, okay, it does look really pretty. Ooh, okay, I might change my mind.
And she's like, holy crap, you're hot. And then you find out that there's a group of superheroes in the world. It's these 3 women in the background here.
Mm-hmm.
Think of them kind of as grown-up Powerpuff Girls, but they're aliens.
Okay.
So she goes to the single thing. The person hosting it is her friend, and they make a big point of like they're doing like this get together and getting to know people, and it's like same pronouns, same relationship status. You know, like it's again very inclusive, and she goes to leave. Long story short, she sees a fight with those 3 heroes fighting some bad guys, right? and she sees one of them when no one else is looking, because it's like there's not like cameras around and everything like that. Some guy runs up to her and he's like, "Oh, hey, you're so and so," and she's like, "Yeah," and she grabs him and just drains him, just evaporates him.
Yeah.
Basically, you find out that they need to feed on people to
Mm-hmm.
keep their powers, and so she knows this. She's the only human that knows this now, and so she's trying to run away, and she finds out that she's stuck underground, or basically this building falls on top of her. She wakes up and she's underground with this dragon-looking thing holding it up.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, so she's sitting there, and the dragon's like, "I'm weak," and then you find out the dragon can transform, and it's the hot chick she bumped into before.
Cool.
So basically, the chick is like, "I also can absorb energy from humans, but I don't want to kill you or anything." So she's like, "I just need to absorb a little bit to be able to do this." And so they kiss.
Oh,
So, and then mid-kiss, it transforms back into the dragon. It's just great. It's really cute.
now that you've seen it, it reminds me of a little bit of the relationship. Well, not so much, but in Spirited Away with like the boy.
Yeah.
Like, going to like the dragon form.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So, but it's pretty cool. It's fun. And basically she's getting caught up in this whole adventure that she's not really a part of, and she's the only human that knows the truth about these heroes.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun. I love the art. It's really good.
And I think that's what it was too. When I was looking it up and I read the description, it almost made it seem like these three heroes, like obviously they already seem established, but it made it, the way it was described, it made it seem like this was like a sequel to something that had already happened based on how the three heroes were established. But is it just it's just starting out, right?
Yeah, it's just the first issue.
Okay,
as far
cool.
as I know, there's nothing before this.
Okay, cool.
If there is, I wasn't made aware of it. So
Okay, cool. If it's not obvious, then it's probably not then.
So really good. Very good book. Okay. Move on to the final issue.
Ooh.
Luna number 5 by Maria Levette.
So good.
I'm going to keep my thoughts very simple. This was really fucking good.
Yeah.
What do you think, Josue?
In the end, it was totally worth it. It was kind of confusing the first 2 issues. I didn't know exactly where it was going to go. Again, dropping the whole vampire-ism was kind of late in the game, but not too late either. That's kind of actually where I started picking it up. But then to just get this conclusion, it's just like, fuck yeah. In the end, putting everything together, getting pages like this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a particular friend who would just like absolutely just love like the whole concept in the end. She would probably struggle reading it, but then getting to here in particular, she would just absolutely just love it. So yeah, honestly, in the end, this book was just worth it.
Totally. Only one thing got me, and it's because I have, I have a tooth thing. I also have an eye thing. And that made me cringe. And so I won't tell you guys what happens. You'll have to look for yourself. But that's the end of the series, so make sure to look out for it on trade, because I guarantee it's going to be really nice as a trade altogether, and I bet there's going to be a lot of awesome like art in there too that's not included in these books. So,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, all the variant covers and stuff will be great. So, all right, moving on, because we had a lot of boom. Next up, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, number 3.
Loved this issue.
Written by Ram V, illustrated by Felipe Andrade, colored by Inez Amaro, and lettered by Ann World. So you guys know this book as the one where death becomes a human, because there's a young boy that's born that's going to basically invent immortality, so she no longer has a job. And she's spending her human life trying to find him, but keeps dying. And when we last left off, he was a young boy, but now he is a young man, an adult man. Or teens? What did I say? I can't remember. I didn't keep track of them.
Oh no, at this point he's 20.
20. Okay, gotcha. And so basically it's about his first love, really. And it's told from the perspective of a cigarette.
So good. It's like, how does that work? It's just like, well, it's so simple. It's so simple. It's just, I mean, like when it got meta and explaining how and why, it's like, well, yeah, that works. Like I totally buy that. And then, cause honestly, the first page, like the first 2 pages, I was kind of confused because I couldn't believe it was going to be that simple. Like it's like, especially because like the bubbles had the little smoke appearance. It's kind of like, wait, who's telling this narration? And it's like, no fucking way. Are we really buying that it's being told through a perspective, a quick, short 10-minute burst of a cigarette, like perspective of a lifespan? This is so fucking cool, and a lot happens. Oh, it was such a great issue.
It's really good, and we start to see basically what's going on in Darius's life and how he again he's going to be the one who invents immortality. So it's kind of like you're seeing how his idea of mortality and how death has affected him. Each issue is showing us little bits about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really liked this. And, there's a lot that goes into people that make huge changes. And, people usually don't find out about them until well after they're dead when some movie comes out about them. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah.
I really, really liked this a lot. And just knowing where the end of it is, but not knowing how we get there has been really fun to put the pieces together.
I just almost feel like it's in the end it's going to be like her fault. All these like passing moments like with her is what led him to realize whatever code or algorithm he needs to figure immortality out. In the end, it's going to be like her fault in a way, but her learning her process along the way her journey has just been really fucking interesting too.
It's been great, and I mean it goes without saying it's an absolutely beautiful book. So.
Yes.
So final boom book, and our third S book already is 7 Secrets, number 9, written by Tom Taylor, drawn by Danielle DeNucolo, colored by Walter Baiamonte, and lettered by Ed Dukeshire. Okay, Josue, we're not spoiling the ending.
Okay, good, because Seji looks like asleep out there, but she could be pretending, and I don't want to spoil it for her.
Yeah. It was too good of an ending.
So good.
All I will say about the end is, because honestly, the last 2 pages, if you took those out, we wouldn't even have to. It's not like something that was built up to really well. Not that it wasn't built up to, but I'm saying we can talk about the rest of the episode or the issue without talking about those last 2 pages, and it wouldn't affect it. So the main thing is them trying to get somewhere safe, and at the same time trying to elect a new leader. And they keep switching cars, which is a lot of fun. We get like a lot of cool interaction between the characters, and it's fun because we get to see the new characters. I mean, like all these characters start to develop, not just the main like 4 or 5. We're seeing everybody. So like Ching is great. Ching really got a lot of
she's
development.
Awesome.
And just it was really cool. And basically, they're able to find a place to stay, which is a sunken castle. And they're there. They decide, like I said, to elect a new leader. And who did they elect? Eva.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they elect Eva. She's the one who basically took charge from the beginning. So, and it's really sad because there's a moment where they actually are able to sit down and then they finally grieve. Which is like, they've been holding that in for a while. You know what I mean? Like
you can actually see everybody's shoulders almost just like drop, in the panel. Yeah.
Yeah. We get a lot of time spent with our antagonist as well. And what's going on and like the secret organization that runs that and everything.
Oh, that was a good scene too.
Yeah. We get a little bit more with Laquetta, which I know you were totally about.
I would have been down with her being the leader. I like that she's like, if nobody's going to say it, because Eva wasn't going to do it either. Eva wasn't going to say it out loud that she wanted it either. But the fact is, like, you know what? I'll step up. And who better to keep a fucking secret,
Yeah. And we find out that part of the idea of her being a leader is she needs to know what all the secrets are.
Yeah.
So there's a ceremony where she finds out what they are. She's shown what they are if she can.
Mm-hmm. If
not, she's told what they are. And once again, another great one with Laquetta where she says, "I'm so sorry you had to bear this alone." I'm like,
what is it that you have to say? What is it are you holding in that just has to burst out that you would just want to scream from like the rooftops, from the mountains? Like, I felt so bad for Laquetta.
Yeah. And then the last secret is what we can't talk about. So
yeah, because it's really good. Everybody should read it.
This book is incredible. Blew my mind. It's the only one I texted Josue about yesterday when I was reading. I was like, holy shit. Like, it just blew my mind. So I think the word I used, I did text you about Nightwing, which we'll talk about.
Yes, we talk about those 2 books.
But I think the word that I used was knocked me on my ass.
Dude, yeah.
So, nice.
And now the next one supposedly promises answers.
I mean, we're going to have to get some answers unless they do a whole flashback episode. Don't tell us anything, so. All right, so that's Boom. Now let's switch over to Ablaze. Nice. I actually have an Ablaze book this week.
Cool.
And it's a book that I didn't really know anything about and just picked up because why not? Give it a chance. And it's called Space Pirate Captain Harlock.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that looks really cool.
So, this is written by Leiji Matsumoto, which is a Japanese writer. So it has been translated from Japanese. Art is by Jerome Alque, and letters by Desi Siente. How do I explain this? It's like a... No, I don't want to say it that way. Okay. It's an anime.
Okay.
In book form. It's not manga. Okay, I want to make that clear.
Okay.
It's an anime in book form. Because the art is not manga style. Like... You see what I mean?
Okay.
Like, It looks like... And I don't want to say it this way because it sounds horrible, but it looks like a Netflix anime. Like Castlevania. Which is good.
Okay.
But visually, that's what it looks like.
Did you see Godzilla, the Netflix ones?
No.
Like that anime style?
No. I was thinking more like also like Knights of Sidonia, which I really like.
Okay, I get that one. Yeah, I get that one for sure.
So like you can see some more of the art.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
So,
but then some of the characters look like this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's very much an anime, and it's so colorful and stuff. I don't see it as a manga. I can't see it as a manga. It's really cool. It's got a cool story. It was a little hard for me to follow at first.
Okay.
It kind of drops you deep, and something's happened to the planet, and you're following a pirate and stuff, and it's really interesting. Visually, though, I cannot express enough how visually I love this. I almost want this artist to do a Final Fantasy comic book, because could you imagine Shiva drawn like this?
Yeah, that'd be sick as fuck, dude. Oh, that close up now too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's really cool. It's very much a visual book, and one or two places I think the translation was a little shaky, but that might have just been word choice, So, but yeah, pretty good for a Blaze. I really enjoyed it, and I'm curious to see where it goes. It does come off as very much a not shonen, but like that, like Trigun and like that kind of level of anime, or where it's not like the fun shonen style. It's more that, yeah, kind of like Bebop. Bebop's more fun though, but like kind of like that less fun version.
Okay,
I'm trying to think of the other one like that popped into my head, but yeah, like just a little cool and it's not super violent or anything like that, but yeah, that's kind of what it came to. An adult anime, if you will. So, yep. All right, switching gears to Mad Cave. Josue, take it away with Nottingham.
Oh, dude, I feel so bad you're not reading this one with me. It's actually a lot.
I'm gonna get a trade when it comes out because it's just impossible to find the floppies here.
Okay. Yeah. So this one pretty much just takes place on the Nottingham tournament to bait out Robin Hood and everybody else. Well, it works. Like it's and right now, and the whole time, in this case, to the perspective of Nottingham, he's looking out to see who's kind of like wielding left-handed. Because when they found one of the guardsmen that was like just brutally murdered was obviously slashed through the left side. So throughout the whole tournament, he's just like watching, see who would be proficient enough, like from like jousting, like all the knights, a giant melee. But now it's time for the true tournament. At least in this case, in Nottingham, there's like a speech on like people would consider this a coward's weapon, but not here. And it's like the archery tournament. So we get first and foremost. Sir Robert of Locksley, and he goes up, shoots it from the left, bullseye, obviously, and Nottingham's like, maybe, and then he immediately knocks one from the right side, crushes the last arrow, perfect bullseye. So he's kind of like, it might not be this guy, or at least this guy's too good. And in this moment, while the guy is like hyping up that, oh shit, he did, he split an arrow in 20. Sorry, I had to do the
excellent
Men in Tights line.
The arrow in twain.
In this moment, this is like a bunch of merry men literally put on their mask and just like shoot the guy in the back, and then all hell fucking breaks loose. A bunch of the merry men literally gear up, so it just becomes a giant riot. And the only priority here is the sheriff getting the prince, just getting him the fuck out of there. And his whole only thing in his mind is like the gold being left behind, but it's like, dude, this whole point wasn't about the fucking gold, it's to bait them out, and now they're here, and we need to get you out, so let's go. And yeah, people are just dying left and right. They're kind of pretty much forced to retreat back into the castle so that they can then bottleneck the Merrymen into the castle.
Yeah.
But it's just not going well. Like, in a spur of the moment, when they're kind of getting ganged up on, made Marion kind of just defend herself. Because, like, there's a talk, like, in the beginning with the sheriff and Marion, how, like, she is proficient with some weaponry. She has some training just being in the castle, too. So, in this case, she proved herself. Gets the guy good. They make it inside the castle, and outside is this giant dope page of Hood, and everybody just chanting his name. Really, really dope.
That's dope.
So, Merrymen are outside. They pretty much have the castle just now surrounded, and inside, the first thing that Nottingham does is, arrest Marion. She's a spy. Because when she defended herself, she was proficient from her left side. Like, really fucking good. So, now they're going to take her away, and that's where it ends off. I think the next one is a conclusion. So, we'll see where it leaves off. Because it is, like, so brutal so far, and I can only imagine how it'll end. It's kind of sad to see it go, because it's actually a really cool take. I was going to be like, do I really want to root for this fucking guy? But the whole time, like, damn, all these, like, different perspectives of these times have just, like, kind of what made the book for me.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Let's kick it over, because we're quick firing our publishers right now. We're going to switch over to Oni Press. I have one book with Oni, and that's Agretsuko, Meet Her World, number 3. And this one was close to my heart, because Agretsuko is chilling in her office. She's singing a song to herself. Everybody's like, why are you in such a good mood? And she's like, oh, I'm going to go to a book reading of my favorite book, and I'm so excited. And she's like, I bought a new dress and everything, and she's so excited to do this. And then her boss walks up, and he basically, like, is mad at her, and then he talks to one of his new clients. He's like, all right, my newest client is bringing this little girl to our meeting. I need one of you to keep her entertained. And we looked, everybody but Ritsuko's gone. So he's like, you're coming with me. She's like, no, I have something to do. And he's like, no, you're going with me.
Oh my god.
So he makes her go, and she misses her book reading. And where do they go? They go to a professional wrestling match.
Oh, no shit.
So she's sitting there, and the little girl is terrible. She's not even little. She's like in her 20s. But she's just, like, screaming at the wrestler, saying horrible things. Like, you're a failure and your family hates you, probably. Which is exactly like it's like going to a show with Liz, by the way. Like, at one point, Liz yelled "Hail Satan" at a wrestling event. It wasn't WWE. There were like 100 people there, maybe.
I was gonna say, was this like to a Kane and Undertaker match or something? Like,
no, this was in a church, actually.
Amazing.
I just remembered that it was in a church. Now that I think about it, it was Championship Wrestling from Arizona, I think.
And that's why Liz is our producer, because she's fucking awesome.
So, yeah. But basically, the girl is really shitty, and she ends up spilling her beer on Ritsuko, and then she's like, her brand new dress she just bought's all messed up.
No, fuck.
And then she meets with one of the wrestlers in the bathroom, and the wrestler's like, yes, sometimes you gotta stand up for yourself. It sucks you when you have to put up with it. And then when the wrestler gets back in the ring, she points the girl out and just was like, you're a spoiled little shit, basically. Just cut a promo on her, and the girl starts crying.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Next day, she gets to her desk, and there's an envelope, and she opens it up, and there's a bunch of money in it, and she looks at her boss is looking at her from across the office, and then turns around real quick. And it's so funny. I get such J. Jonah Jameson, Peter Parker vibes from these two sometimes, where it's just like, I like you, but I'm not going to let you know. Basically, so it's just great. I mean, it's Agretsuko. It's just a great story. I love it. So, always picking up. Oh, and I didn't do the creative team. Written by Daniel Radford, illustrated by Shadia Amin, colored by Andrew Dollhouse, and lettered by Crank as always. All right, we're going to shift over to a book I'm so excited to talk about. I did not pick up this book this week because I could not find a copy, but I've already special ordered a copy because I need to have it. And Josue did read it, so we're going to talk about it. Josue, Black Mask Studios, Destiny New York, number 4. What did you think? Well, first of all, I want to make sure, because I read the trade.
Right, you have read this.
Did this resolve the current arc? I want to know where the cutoff is.
Oh, no, it should have, because it also has like a giant lettering. Yeah, and here we go. That was the first arc.
Cool.
It leaves,
good.
Yeah, the last few things that happen, big drops, are the telephone call with the president.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and then them pretty much just getting together.
Cool, okay, good. Okay, then I know exactly where you left, or where you're at. So what'd you think?
No, it was actually really good. I like how, at this point, there's room to expand. Obviously, this world is going to grow. But I like where everything is settled to where, like, now we can just move forward instead of just moving the characters to different places, different pieces across the board until they actually, like, know what they want to do. And yeah, all the reveals, all the twists are just like, oh shit! Like, now I'm excited for all of this shit to be explained, for all the backstory towards this. Really, really good stuff. And again, it's just like, it feels like such a mundane world where almost very little magic happens, but you know that it's there. So when it does happen, like, you're like, oh shit, that's really cool. Like, when like the seer dude, when he's around, well, that's cool. Just like seeing the eyes being around. But when you see like the real magic happen, you're like, oh fuck, like there's so much more to this world that it's not like they're hiding it on purpose. It's just like more like when it's appropriate to do. I hella liked, again, like, this whole first arc has just been worth it. Yeah. Just jumping on board. And just such an interesting take where something that's already been done, that's been published, pages have been out there to almost like do it anew now in floppy form. Like, it's pretty cool. I'm actually very thankful that I get to like experience this like all over again.
Yeah, it's like the opposite. Usually you start with floppies and go trade. They went trade and went to floppies. So. Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool. Highly recommend Destiny New York. I cannot recommend it enough. We want to run down the creative team because the artist changes between arcs.
Oh, so yeah. No, this one for sure. So for this one, written by Pat Shand, illustrated by Manuel Breitano, and lettering by Jim Campbell, and edited by Shannon Lee.
Nice. Check out Destiny New York Volume 5 Kickstarter is active right now. I've already funded it, so it literally got funded in a day. It got to 100% in a day. It was the fastest ever.
So it already has like its set following for it already to be funded in a day like this, where that people just want this next volume, this next chapter. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm spreading the word about it. I'm gonna send a copy to one of my best friends, the one I mentioned in our last Jukebox episode, actually.
Nice.
That I went to Pride with. I think she will love it. So, yeah. Awesome. All right. So, kicking over to another publisher. All the publishers this week, guys. We are going to go over to IDW. I have one quick book, and that's Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures. This is the one about the young Padawans chilling with Yoda and buckets of blood, the best Jedi ever. And written by Daniel Jose Older, art by Harvey Talabau, Pau Rodrigues, and Manuel Bracci. Colors by Rebecca Nolte, and letter by Jake M. Wood. This is the conclusion of the first arc. So we got the one girl who has force powers, is hidden it her entire life, and her best friend who doesn't trust Jedi. And they both basically have been recruited by different sides of, the conflict. And they've been trying to get to each other, but at the same time, neither of them are actually going to give up on the other side. But they're thinking, if I reach them, maybe I could talk some sense into them. Well, in the end, they see each other, and they're not able to resolve their differences. And in the end, the young girl is accepted as a Padawan, and the other kid is taken in by the criminal organization. And it's all going to build to a big conflict between them, so it's going to be interesting. Yeah,
well, that's actually really cool. Literally going dark side that way for being the field trip one out of all these comics, or going into the Republic thing.
Yeah, and so I really, really dig it. It's a lot of fun. I'm really back into my Star Wars kick,
nice.
Which we'll talk about later.
Ooh, did you start the novel?
No, there's another Star Wars book.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Pick it up if you are really wanting to find out about the High Republic, which I think more people should be reading because it seems really cool.
Yeah.
Totally unlike anything Star Wars you've read before. So now we're going to take it to a new publisher for us. it caught my eye, and Josue happened to pick it up as well.
Yeah.
Clover Press. Now, this is the only comic I've ever seen from Clover Press, and I hope to see more in the future. I looked at their information online, and they do very niche stuff. Was what they basically said. So it's not like they put out a bunch of comics and I miss it, you know. But it is Clover Press, and it's issue 1 of their adaptation of The Great Gatsby. Now, some of you had to read The Great Gatsby in school. I didn't have to. So because I didn't have to, I actually liked it. They literally, it's written by F. Scott Fitzgerald, the author of the book, so it's not adapted at all. Mm-hmm. They just took the dialogue. Well, there is an adapter. Ted Adams did adapt it, but he basically, took it and put it in the right places is what he did. Mm-hmm. Art is by Jorge. How do you say that last name?
Coelho.
Coelho. Okay, I've never had to say that out loud. Thank you.
It's my favorite author has that last name too, Paulo Coelho.
Yes, I've always seen it, but I never known how to say it. So yeah. Color flats by Inez Amaro and lettering by Robbie Robbins. So I mean, spoilers, it's The Great Gatsby. But I really absolutely love the art. So the artist is Portuguese. He's actually from Portugal, and that's why I was like, I've heard the name, and it's because I used to date a girl that's Portuguese.
Nice.
So for a long time. But I absolutely love the character designs.
Yes.
I love how Daisy looks. I love the very brief shot of Gatsby we get at the end.
Oh man,
where he looks like Howard Stark, like a motherfucker.
A little bit. I did like this take on him.
Yeah. But it's really cool, and I was a big fan of the film adaptation that came out not too long ago with Leo.
The 2013.
I actually really enjoyed it. A lot of people shit on it, but I really liked it.
She hella likes it too, only because she hella fucking loves Toby too. Toby and Leo, so she was just drop dead already, and Carey Mulligan, so she was already like a fan of it.
Yeah, so this is a good, faithful adaptation. I would be on board if they did this for multiple different classic novels, just this style.
Yeah,
just to redo it, make it nice. It's good, thick cover. It's like a good
the paper
hard cover. I really enjoy it. So, but totally enjoyable. I'm gonna add this to my list to be pulled, and
so do I. Only because it's so obscure. Like I don't want the shop to miss it or just to pass up on it since it's not really selling.
I expect them not to have any issue 2s unless I order one. So, and yeah, so I pulled up the Clover Press Twitter, and it says, a progressive, eclectic boutique publisher.
Nice. Oh, that's really pretty.
And so, did you see the thing at the end? This advertisement on the back page?
Oh, which one was it?
It's an art book.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got a quote from Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, no shit, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, ooh, and then I'm like, oh god, I'm going to spend so much money. So, Clover Press, you are on our radar, I promise.
For sure.
So, yep. Anything else you want to say about it, Gatsby?
No, I really enjoyed this. Again, it was like my partner who was on the shouted it out to be like, hey, if you see this, like, make sure to pick it up. Like, they actually really love the book and the movies. And I'm very not familiar with this book and have only seen like the Leo movie like once. So when I'm picking this up, I'm kind of expecting like, oh, what's the comic twist? What's the little like take on it into this one? But no, it's just like I like how it was worded like in the back where it's just like this story has been adapted in all different kinds of ways and forms but just never in this medium. So here presents F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby, and I was like, well, that's really cool. And as I'm reading it, and some like the narrations like actually pass over like as you're reading the novel, like this whole page with like Tom's setting and then Tom's description, like these two just like really read off like as if I was reading it from the novel itself. Like I actually really enjoyed it. It felt like a much different experience going into comics.
Yeah, definitely.
The one thing that really threw me off, I had to kind of like go back and forth instead of just like that thing where I go back and forth or go backwards instead of like keep on reading until I get like the answer right in front of me on the next page, is that they make Nick so super blonde, and then when you get to the scene with Daisy and her friend, they make the friend super blonde, so you think she'll be Daisy since like they're like relatives.
Yes, yeah.
But they make Daisy like hella brunette, so I was thrown off a little bit by that.
And it also doesn't help in the movies. Daisy was super blonde.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that threw me off. And then the friend was, I can't remember. She had dark hair in the movie. I can't remember now.
I can't remember.
Anyways, real quick about Gatsby though. I love it. You said you've never read the book, really?
Mm-hmm.
I think it has. This is my really terrible literary opinion that I'll get roasted for, but I think it has probably the best ending of a novel ever, in my opinion.
Ooh, okay.
So, like, the last line, and a lot of people know this because if you see Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey, where he plays Andy Kaufman, he reads this part at the end of that joke about him reading the entire Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
But it's like, it ends, it eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms further, and then one fine morning, ... So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. Fuck yes. Like, that's fucking literary porn for me. I don't care. It's so fucking good. So yeah, I'm all in for it. So yeah. All right. Switching up to Scout/Black Caravan Comics. Josue, tell us about Black Friday. This is the end, right?
Yeah, and probably this shows worst transition from.
I was just thinking that too.
So, Black Friday by Black Caravan is writing on the colors are done by John Clark and illustrations by Travis Williamson. And this is about the portal to literal hell in one of your favorite retail shops, and how this whole thing is basically just one giant sacrifice based around.
That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, I don't want to say like going straight to like the Purge, but it's basically like the corporate heads up on top have basically done this deal, or like the whole location,
like Cabin in the Woods.
Kind of, yeah. Only like, and why certain places are successful is because of certain sacrifices that take place. Nice. And in this case, it's just pretty much Javier, the main character, his struggle of just trying to go from aisle to aisle to try to make it out or figure this shit out to just survive. And the one thing that it didn't suck because I guess it is a story, but again, she didn't deserve it either. Ceci, kind of like his love interest, like they kind of were doing something like something on the side just because like they didn't have anything else going on in their lives and working in the retail. But now in this case, she just had to die, and it just really sucked. And only because the main demon, Smiley, literally just kept dragging her around. Like it was almost like she's already dead. Like, and we're reading comic book, just let her die. And like in those panels way back there's no reason to just drag her around and just mutilate her body more and more. Only so like he can get like a little like burst of anger, so he can like go into the manager's office, and then figures out the manager's still alive. And the whole thing, it does a callback to the beginning of the story, and then the first issue, where like the manager, as pompous and as douchey as he was, he also had this like corporate ring. And when the demons started popping off, there was a moment where like the demons were like scared of him, but not really him. It was the ring. So he figures out this ring is actually powerful, and it's basically just the managers are like their lackeys. So at least like they get some protection. So he wrestles it, he fights it off of him, and just like then lets the demons have him instead, and he makes it out. And then all the demons literally just like go back in their hole, like almost like they had their fill, and that was it. So and then almost like everything is gone. Like he's like still a bloody mess, but like all the blood and all like the mess isn't. Everything's almost like just disappeared. He looks at the cameras outside, and he sees like the black SUV show up, and be like, all right, I gotta bounce. But because it's at a big chain retail store, there's a gun section, and he stocks up and loads up, and the last page is him going to corporate and having words with them. And the end. Awesome. It was good. It was very dark. Again, like I really did like all like the weird warping, distorted white demons. Like they were like the way they were just like super pale, and like the way their moths were just like hang out. It was really cool. So they were just like making a bunch of different monsters. There was just like the way they would just like creep around. It was just, man, I'd be hella fucking scared if I had to like run around a fucking Walmart running away from demons like that. Hell no.
Nice. All right. Another transition, guys. We're going to talk about a Dark Horse now. I have 2 Dark Horse books. I don't think Josue has either of them, so I'll just get into it myself. First thing is, second volume of Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman.
Nice.
Started. So it is Norse Mythology number 1. Stories and words by Neil Gaiman. Scripts and layouts by P. Craig Russell. Letters by Galen Showman. Art by Matt Horak. Colors by Laverne Kanzerski. And that is it. I did get the David Mack cover because it's a David Mack cover.
It's always worth
you
it.
always get those. This is the story of the Meet of Poets, which is a great one. Now, the funny thing is, it has a little intro about, like, why do some people have inspiration to tell poems? And it's set in modern times. It's just a little one-page cartoon. But the best part was, that's clearly meant to be a young Neil Gaiman.
Oh,
which is
hell yeah.
hilarious to me.
Every time.
So, I love it. So basically, long story short, so I'll make this as easy as I can for those of you who don't know anything about Norse mythology. You have two kinds of gods in Norse mythology. You have the Aesir and you have the Vanir. The Aesir are the ones you know. Thor, Loki, Odin, Heimdall. They're all Aesir. Vanir are like Freya and Frey. Like that, they're brother-sister gods for the most part. And they're the ones of the earth. Legend has it, they fought and they were equal. They couldn't defeat each other. So they decided to negotiate a peace. And when they negotiated peace and they came to an agreement, they all spit into a big pot. And so it's a big pot of spit, which is just lovely.
Gross.
And then they're like, all right, cool. And we had a party and they're like hungover, getting ready to leave. And they're like, oh, we have a pot of spit here. What do we do with it? And then Freya is like, oh, let's make a man. And so she uses the spit to form a man. And he becomes Kvasir, who is the wisest of all gods. He becomes a god. And basically any question you ask, he knows the answer. Long story short, he gets tricked by some dwarves. Dark elves, excuse me. He's killed. His blood is turned into mead. Whenever you drink it, you have inspiration of poetry. And people want this mead, and so the dwarves have to keep, like, they kill a giant, they kill another giant, then the son of the giants, like, comes, takes the mead. It's all happening, and meanwhile, the gods didn't know what happened to Kvasir. They love him, and they want him back. They find out, and now Odin is out for revenge. This is going to be one of those ones that's going to be multiple issues. But it's really, really good. It's one of the few ones that actually really prominently features Odin as the main character instead of Thor or Loki.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy it. He also, even though it's Odin and not Thor or Loki, he does use trickery. That's kind of what he does.
Nice.
He's just not quite as clever at it, you know what I mean, as Loki would be. So, but really, really enjoyable. I'm really digging it. God, I just love seeing Norse mythology in animated form. It's just so
That's
great. Cool. Like, one of my favorite things ever is Norse mythology, so.
Definitely, at the very least, look out for the storyteller she's on.
Yeah, I thought about it. I didn't realize it was Loki until I saw your tweet, and I was like, damn it.
Honestly, I didn't know until I picked it up. Again, I never know what the titles are going to be, them being an anthology series, and at the end, I'm like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot. Why wouldn't I be expecting a Loki story and Tricksters?
Yeah. My other book is Rangers of the Divide #2, written by Megan Huang. Everything done by Megan Huang.
Nice.
So this one, if you remember, it's about some, like, recruit soldiers in this organization, and they're being taken out by a veteran officer, and they have dragons, and they got to do this whole thing. It's really cool. It's very much, it feels like an animated show.
Oh, yeah.
Like the art. It's very much like Avatar The Last Airbender kind of style, maybe. Mm-hmm. It's really enjoyable. My only hesitation is, and I should keep in mind, this is two issues.
Yeah.
I need some of the characters to kind of differentiate themselves a little bit. It works a little bit in this one because there's multiple soldiers. You kind of get an idea of the leader. He looks a lot like Geralt from Witcher. And you see the girl who's very eager to please. So those are the two you really get developed in the first one. This one, there's like a brother and sister twin combo. And you get a little bit from them. I would have liked it to be a little bit longer, but I know the constraints of comic books, that's how it is. So,
yeah.
But yeah, very enjoyable from Dark Horse Comics. Rangers of the Divide, pick it up. It's really great. Switching gears, once again, we are in the lightning round at this point, people. We are going to talk about Aftershock Comics. Now, we have 3 books. Huxway has 2 of them. I have 1 by myself. So I will start with the one I don't share. And that is Silver City #2.
Yeah.
You passed up on #1.
I did.
Right? Okay. So, written by Olivia Cortero-Briggs, art and color by Luca Merli, and letter by Dave Sharp. So this is the one where that plane crashed into the airport and killed all those people, and they woke up in the afterlife where you still have to have a job, and something's going on. So we get a really cool revelation. So the main character, that we got to know, who is just amazing. I absolutely love her. We get to find out a little bit. Basically, her brain gets woken up, and it's an awakening is what it's called. And she finds out more about what happened to her right before her death. And so they're in the airport. Basically, her boyfriend at the time is like, hey, we're going to go to Hawaii for a month out of nowhere. And she's like, okay. And her friend is like, that's really sketchy. Don't do it. But Rue is like, no, I love him. We're going to go. And so they're in the airport. And then she goes, she tells him, you might be you just might be my soulmate. And he says, something tells me you won't feel that way for long. And I'm like, what?
Huh.
And she goes, what's that supposed to mean? He's like, we have to get out of here. And she goes, what? We're boarding. He's like, come with me now. And so he drags her off, and that's the fight the other people saw, them having a fight. And he drags them off. They go up the stairs. They see the plane crash where they just used to be. And Rue's like, holy crap, we almost died. And then she turns around, and he's got a gun. And he says, I'm so sorry, be brave. And then he shoots her.
Fuck.
Yeah, so she didn't die in the plane crash. He shot her.
Huh.
Why is the question.
Yeah.
And one of the things they emphasized last issue is that people have, if you're dead, your eyes are either white, black, or gray. You don't have color in your eyes.
Ooh, that's cool.
That's how that's how when you're dead, they can check your eyes to see if you are actually dead. And the little girl that we saw in the first issue, basically, she gets her period. And they're like, but your bodies don't change when you're down here. How did she get her first period? What's going on here? And they're like trying to figure it out. And they're like, they checked her. She must be dead. If her eyes are gray, black, or anything other than white, gray, or black, they know she's actually in a vegetative state upstairs, basically. And the girl goes, well, my eyes are actually gray in real life. It's like, fuck. So you find out she's actually in a coma up there. And now the new mission becomes help her wake up so she's not dead forever.
Oh, shit. So, that's cool. Okay, that's cool. That definitely elaborated and opened up the story a lot more. Definitely.
It's so cool.
It piqued my interest for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely really caught my attention. The first issue was a lot of fun. It was really pretty and stuff. But this one, man, it hooked me. It was so cool. And then, like, the intrigue, almost like a Lost level intrigue. Maybe it's because of playing in an airport. I get that association, but really good stuff. All right. Book number 2 for Aftershock, which is Project Patron number 3.
Nice.
Written by Steve Orlando, drawn by Patrick Piazzalunga, colored by Carlos Lopez, and lettered by Hassan Asmani El-Hau. Okay, so you guys know this one. It's a world where their big superhero, their Superman, if you will, died, and they started up a secret organization with a robotic copy of him that they can, or not a robotic, I think it's like genetic copy of him that they can control using a little thing. Their commander ends up dying in the first mission that we see. So now all of them are kind of hesitant to do it. This one was really cool because until the end, we didn't really get a mission.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about them as a group, and we find out more about them as a group, which is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed learning more about Davin, the big dude.
Yeah.
Like, I love the bit where he's talking about how he never got to tell, the commander or something. Well, I can't remember the exact wording he used, but I was like, oh God, was he in love with him? That made me so sad. Like, he's like, I don't know. It was just kind of interesting the way everything happened. And we find out more about why he died. It wasn't just he got old. It was a glitch. Well, not a glitch, because the glitch is accidental.
Yeah.
So a lot of really cool tension building up, a really great mystery. And then we get a really cool thing at the end where I'll let Josue describe what happens because I saw his tweet and I thought it had a good impression on him.
Well, I mean, it was a whole case of fuckery. It was like, there's no, like, when a villain pulls off a grand move like this that you just can't take back, the heroes can't avert it to begin with, or in this case, anymore. You're just like, wow, we're dealing with some real shit here. And then, not to spoil the big reveal, but then it was like a part 2 phase to this, and it's like, oh my God, everything's so messed up. And our heroes aren't even ready. They basically gambled their potential spy into the suit just so they can have a chance to talk amongst themselves, just figure out if they weren't spies amongst themselves. And nobody's fucking ready for this now. It's awesome.
So cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I mean, obviously, there's an homage there that we're going to talk about in later issues, I'm sure, with the reveal of the person. But yeah. All right, next book is a number 1, and I'm so happy you picked this up. I was like, when I read it, I'm like, I hope Josue picked this up.
I was hoping you were going to swing to this one too.
Oh yeah, it's right up my alley. 7 Swords, number 1. Written by Evan Dauturi, sorry. Artist is Ricardo Latina. Colorist is Valentina Bianconi, and lettering by Dave Sharp. Okay, I'm a sucker for swashbuckling. Like, I fucking love it. And so, this story is set post Three Musketeers era France. We catch up with D'Artagnan, and he's confessing to a priest. And you find out that he actually... Obviously, we know that the church, not the whole church, a good portion of the church were the enemy in Three Musketeers. Mm-hmm. And he ends up killing the priest because he was there. And then he picks a fight with like a whole bunch of sword-wielding priests. Turns out, we find out later, they're not actually priests, by the way. He's not just killing a bunch of Catholic priests. But he has this awesome swashbuckling fight that I just fucking love. This fucking page.
Dude, I was going to say, we need to call out this page. Like, I love highlighting it in Nightwing. It does a great motion in across the page. This one was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Especially when you get like the close-up shots of like what's happening. Like when he just throws like the classic tying the rope around the dude, throwing him over so that the rope can swing you up to the next level. Classic. I love this. I love this part.
Yeah. So D'Artagnan runs into a woman and has a fight with her, and it's a stalemate. She disappears.
Oh yeah.
And he runs into Monsieur de Treville, who is the captain of the guard, of the Musketeer Guard, and he's like, "Yeah, she's with me, by the way." And then he basically explained, "Hey, there's a mission. We need you to gather these 7 swords, these 7 people to fight."
Yes.
And then we start meeting the people. And I immediately, as soon as I'm reading this, I'm like, immediately my head goes into, okay, here's who I want in this story. The very first thing they do is they show me Don Juan. And I'm like, motherfucker, yes, motherfucker. Because it would be very tempting to go Zorro. I think going Don Juan is way more fun.
Oh, hell yeah.
We also get a bit where D'Artagnan is haunted by the death of the other, the Musketeers. We see Treville is actually killed, so he has to take up the mission, basically. Then we see a pirate ship, and we don't get a confirmation of who this is, but he basically says, "Do you know why I fly a crimson flag?" And he goes, "I reckon it's on account of your name, Captain." So, this is either Redbeard or Captain Blood.
Ooh.
I haven't figured out which one it is yet.
Yeah.
So because he says, you see, blood isn't red, not really, it's much closer to black. And he kills a bunch of people. It's great. It's always great. Also, I got to point out that the Cardinal in this, that is 100% based on Tim Curry's portrayal of the Cardinal in the fucking Three Musketeers movie. It looks exactly like him. It's insane.
No, you mentioned it for sure. Like, I see the eyes now more than anything. It totally is.
So, and then we get some character bios in the end. And, we were also introduced to Cyrano de Bergerac, which is great. So, that's another one I was like, yes! Like, every time they reveal a character, I'm like, yes! I just get more excited. So, I fucking love this book. This is going to be so much fun to keep up with. And the art is gorgeous.
Oh, totally.
I know there's a discourse in comics of let comics be comics. It doesn't always have to be adapted to something else. Mm-hmm. I want this to be adapted.
Oh, honestly,
I want this to be an FX show.
Ooh.
I want them to give it to the same people that did Out Into the Borderlands. Oh my god, my mind went blank. What's it called? Oh no, it's so good. It's got... Whatever. Anyways, I'll look it up. But I want it to be done there. I want Joshua Sass from Gallivant to play D'Artagnan. Dude, this is what happens when you like when when I get into the like just feeling how great this is. I can't.
I mean, this book is just off the bat gonna be a great read, a very fun one. Like just by the genre alone, like there's like the Seven Samurai, like the Seven Gunslinger movies, comedy or not. We haven't had one like this, and like the whole cast, like different sword masters throughout the time, throughout different stories. How has this not been done before, or if not many times? Like again, like I said, it's just gonna be a very, very fun read.
Yeah, definitely. It's so good, and I want all of it. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, I just want it all. So, highly, highly recommend. Probably my number one of the week.
This one, I mean,
my indie number one of the week.
A first issue, yeah, a very impressionable first issue.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, and next we're gonna go into the Badlands. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot.
Okay,
that. I love that show too. So anyways, we're going to move on, and we are going to talk about, it's Daniel Wu. That's who it was. I was like, it's not Donnie Yen. I don't remember who it was. Okay. Daniel Wu's great. Anyways, he's the one that should play Namor, FYI. Though I'm fine with the current pick. I'm fine with it. I'm not one of those people. Let's move on to Image. We got a couple Image. Josue. Start us off with Time Before Time, number 2.
Time Before Time. I'll try to be quick about this one because second issue in this one, team by Declan Shelby and Roy McConville as the writers, Joe Palmer as the artist, Chris O'Halloran as the colorist, Hassan Otsumeo as the lettering. So this has like that looper take. There's time travel with some black market. They can send you to the past just so you don't have to like face whatever troubles are happening in the future for you in case you mess up that bad. And in this case, what happened in the last issue was at the last second before our protagonist was just going to go about to his job, an FBI agent shows up and be like, hey, I'm hijacking your time machine. And they end up pushing a bunch of buttons that they weren't supposed to, and they time travel to some distorted time. They have no idea where exactly they are. So now we figure out when exactly they are. And as we're kind of getting to know the two, she's kind of like trying to strong arm and like be like, I'm kind of running this situation here now. But he's kind of like, I'm the one that kind of knows how to time travel, if not figure out when exactly we are. So he's like, all right, fine. I guess I won't exactly kill you just yet. So she handcuffs him to her. So at least he won't escape. But then he starts figuring out when exactly they are. And because they start hearing footsteps. They overhear this team, like this duo. They're kind of just like speaking out loud of what's been going on. And in this case, and right before this, he's also explaining to her that the time machine had like a 2 millennia limit, so they could either be in 4141 or in the year 141. And he was like, in our case, because she's black, I'm really hoping it's the former. And it's like, yeah. and he's Asian. So it's like, yeah, we definitely should not want, and they obviously, how the fuck would they be able to get back? So these guys show up and they're kind of speaking out loud. And it's like, okay, and he's like, based on their dialogue, I think they're actually working for the Syndicate. Is it the Syndicate? Basically the other gang. So they kind of give themselves up so they can kind of figure it out. And they're basically now a couple of decades behind their present. They're in the year 2093. And yeah, so now they kind of have to talk their way out of the situation because now they're on the other side's turf, and it's like, we'll just basically use you for information. And that's basically what the dude offers before they kind of like get rid of them. And it's like, they weren't going to believe him for anything either way. But he's like, I can just give you 8 years worth of information from the Syndicate. I'm forgetting where they're at right now. What the other gang's called. But like, I can offer you information, just like let us be and just get us back to our present. Still not figuring out why the FBI agent is there, because now like the the lady running the other side, she was like, yeah, I still don't know what that play is or how that makes sense. Again, and also she hasn't revealed why she was on the run or why she needed to hijack the time machine in the first place. But the new lady that they're kind of there, that they're going to give all the information to, she's basically already plotting that they're going to kill them after they get all the information anyway. So it's kind of like they're still very much not safe. And yeah, that's pretty much like issue 2. It's still kind of building on this whole time traveling thing, or like who's really important here, or what's really going on for the other people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's still time traveling and curious. It's time before time.
Nice. What about Stillwater?
Stillwater.
I should say Eisner nominated Stillwater.
For a couple, yeah. Co-creator, writer Chip Zdarsky, Ramon K. Perez as the artist, and Mike Spicer as the colorist, and lettering is by Russ Wooten. So this one definitely takes a break from all of the chaos happening in Stillwater right now, with like the sheriff's military team showing up and just taking control back of the town. Yeah. And this issue, we take a whole backstory on Tanya, who is basically the other sheriff, or there was a kind of a power struggle between Ted and Tanya, like over at the sheriff's, and it's been kind of been going back and forth. And obviously, where it's been left off is that Ted was kind of running it and in favor for the judge. But in this case, we see it. She wasn't a local. She was an officer from a different town, and it starts off in 1996. And because of technology, she was just like a beat cop, and they basically make her start digitizing everything, like all of the files that they've ever had from like all the surrounding counties, just for there. And as she's doing this, and it's just like, well, this fucking sucks. By the time she's kind of like finishing up, she figures out there's a pattern, and that in the county of Stillwater, in the last like 20-something years, they haven't reported a single person to like a federal prison. So it's kind of like, wait, what the fuck? And in this case, it's like based on like, I guess like real laws, and it's like obviously like, if a good town's a good town, I guess that could be a case, sure, but it could also be a very lenient judge that isn't giving murders like their proper time, and they're just like slapping on the wrist. So she goes to investigate, or she goes to Stillwater and being like, all right, she goes to the sheriff's office and asks like, yo, literally what's going on? Why haven't you been sending people? Gives her like a bullshit answer, and she goes back home. Or she's going traveling back home. That on a night, she literally gets up on a whim to just go to the kitchen, and fucking Ted is there to attempt to assassinate her. But because she was trained, she's able to defend herself and literally get the jump on him. And he kind of, to save his own ass, he drops like all the information. It's like, yo, if I could talk to the judge, we can basically welcome you in, because she has a shit life too. Like, I mean, she wasn't having like a good time in her life, and this would be a good escape for her. What was it? Her husband left her, and then her kid died, and then on top of that, she ended up getting cancer, and she doesn't have that much time to live. Unless she goes to Stillwater, she could have a second chance. So, and this is where it kind of comes into more towards the present, and the judge basically says yes to her, and she works at now in the sheriff's office with Ted. And now we come back to the present, and how she's coming back into town post Ted and all of his militia bullshit, and Ted getting the jump on her, and basically like, you're pretty much done here. And like, oh fuck, this town is just a fucking crazy. So yeah, that's Stillwater for now. It was a good backstory. Something I actually needed.
Nice. All right, I picked up a number 1 for Image, and that is Compass, number 1.
Oh, nice, tell me about it.
So it's subtitled The Cauldron of Eternal Life. Written by Robert McKenzie and David Walker. Art by Justin Greenwood. Colors by Daniela Miwa. And letter by Simon Bolin. So this is set in 1242. And it's in a castle, and basically, I don't know how to describe it, because I need like a couple issues to like get a theme. I don't know if it's going to continue to be a theme like this, but so we have a young hooded figure that's breaking into a castle to steal something, and it's really cool. It's very action based and stuff. they fall into like this pit, and they look around. They light a torch, look around. There's a bunch of skeletons. We find out it's not just a woman; it's a Muslim woman, and she says, "Allah have mercy."
Oh man!
And so it's about her adventuring in this, trying to steal this thing in this castle. She gets confronted by someone she trusted, and then betrayed, and she has to fight off a bunch of soldiers. She beats them all these dudes. She jumps into the moat and escapes. We find out that the enemies are the Mongols. They actually make bits about it. We don't actually ever see the leader, but he does the typical bad guy thing of execute one of my guys to prove I'm evil, kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Which is great. I love it. It's one of my favorite tropes ever. She escapes. She meets up with people, and there's like people. I think she's in Wales at this point. She reveals that she can read, and everybody's like, "Women can't read." Like, it's just that kind of typical thing and stuff. And she runs into a knight who actually served in her homeland, so he knows her language and stuff. And it's just really respectfully done. It's really cool, and I really, really liked it. It's just a cool adventure story. I like the art of the character a lot. I like that, again, that era. It's another historical thing for us, like, I love the historical thing. And this is actually, he didn't do anything creatively with it, but across the top of it for this, it says Greg Rucka presents.
Ooh, okay.
So it's got the Greg Rucka stamp of approval. So
yeah,
I don't know exactly what role he does, but it might have been something he found and brought in, been like, give them a chance, something like that. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's really great. It's really respectful of the Muslim culture of it all, and it's really great. I absolutely loved it. So totally worth a shot. And this next cover, I mean, how do you not want to pick up this next cover? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's cool.
Interesting.
So, yeah, really enjoyable. Next up, I'm sure we got the rest of these together. Silver Coin number 3.
Oh, hell yeah.
Silver Coin number 3. This one was written by Ed Brisson, with Michael Walsh once again doing the lines and letters, and with assistance from Tony Mary Griffin on the coloring. This one was interesting. So if you guys don't know, the Silver Coin is this series with a different writer every time, and we're following the story of this cursed silver coin that people keep finding, and horrible horror things start happening to them. We saw the guitarist guy who used it as a pick. We saw the little girl at the summer camp. And now we got a robbery gone wrong. What did you think, Josue?
No, I really like this. I like that it gets told through time. Like the guitarist who was like late 60s, kind of 70s, the early 80s camp girl for like the slasher films, and now we're like mid 80s for this one. And I like that we get the slight indication that it's the firefighter from like at the end of the last issue. Just like I like how it picks up where it kind of like left off a little bit, even though we're just like now time skipping. But now in this case, it's a very, very hungry coin. This coin needs to feed, and it gets called home. And then, so he said, yeah, it was a robbery gone wrong. Little girl gets in possession of said coin, and as they're evading the robbery, because they also torched the place for some reason to just alarm that it was them too, they start going through a chase, and then they hit a fucking curb and they end up piling over. It gets bad, but a girl with coin survives and is still wandering in. God, it's really cool.
It is really, really dope. It's of the 3 issues, it's the one we can talk about the least, because I think this is the one that's kind of lending to the overall arc in the end.
Yeah.
And so, but it was really cool. I liked the character. She was very hesitant to do everything that, with the robbery. She didn't want to set a place on fire, none of that. So, but really, really good. It's a great horror anthology we're getting right now, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And where does it go next, Josue, but the year 2467.
Hella into the future. It's like you said, it's like we're trying to avoid spoilers because like it's trying to set up something, or at least like something crazy does happen at the end of this story. So it's kind of like, oh, I guess next issue will kind of explain this or allude to this. We might, but we're jumping hella forward, and I could not be more curious about this.
And this one's going to be written by Jeff Lemire. So.
Yes.
Yeah, good shit. Loved it. Next up, Radiant Black number 5. So, written by Kyle Higgins. Art is 2 artists, Eduardo Ferragato and Marcela Causto. color by Natalia Marquez, and letter by Becca Carey. This book is very strange. So when it started off, me and Host were like, cool, a superhero book. And I was like, we haven't had a real good like non-DC Marvel superhero book in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Especially young superhero, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, cool, this is fun. But it's definitely got a cool twist to it, and we found that out in the last issue. So we didn't talk about it because we didn't want to spoil it. But we've got it a couple weeks now, so we're going to go ahead and talk about it. In the previous issue, the hero died, and his mantle got passed to his best friend. That was shocking, because they gave us 4 issues getting to know this kid and then just kill him.
Yeah.
So, which was interesting. So now his best friend is the hero, and he doesn't really want it, but he's like, I'll do whatever you want as long as he doesn't die, and then his friend starts breathing again. Barely. He probably has brain damage.
Yeah, hella critical condition. It was barely a cough. It wasn't even so much as a breath.
Yeah. But at least he's, has movement, signs of life, so. But you find out that he's actually really good he's way better with the powers than our original hero. So
I'm pretty sure all you just needed is your cartoon imagination. You're pretty much going to rock the suit.
Yeah. I also really loved this video podcast talking about it.
Oh my god.
Because I don't know exactly who this is referencing, but I know who this is referencing. We know these guys. We all know these guys, and we all hate these guys. So that was fun. Gatekeeping assholes. Anyways, so he basically he talks to the robot that gave him his powers. He goes and he basically says, "I'll do what you want. Just let me find, Radiant Black, as I call him."
Apparently, it's Radiant Red.
Yeah, I like Radiant though.
Oh, no, honestly, me too.
So they have a big fight. He rips Red's ass. And you find out Red's powers, like they can make like almost like Juggernaut style armor, which is really cool. He still beats the crap out of him, and the helmet comes off, and it's a hot chick. Of course, it's a hot chick. And so he's like, "Oh shit!" And then what the fuck happened?
Dude,
2 more Radiants show up.
Everything just opens up.
Help me here, because I am colorblind.
Okay.
What colors are these? Is it yellow?
Dude on the left is yellow. On the right is pink.
It was pink. I was thinking it was pink, but I didn't want to jump to a conclusion. So.
Okay.
And we find out, hey, there's more of us, and they get confronted by a super bad guy, and that's where we left off.
I love the way he talks.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of the way Amelia talks when she's like in the robot in Infinity Train.
Yeah.
It's like that's the way I'm trying to picture how it's supposed to sound.
Yeah, I dug it. One of my favorite parts about this book is the letters page, because just this one letter is "Dear blah blah blah." What? I thought that's pretty funny. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm really digging this. It's a lot of fun, and it definily hooked me. I'm in for it.
Oh no, definitely the action in this episode. And in this episode, I'm already thinking it's a Power Rangers or a Kamen Rider thing, especially because apparently this page kind of may or may not be a Kamen Rider build reference on how they morph. So that was pretty cool. And then after that, the whole fight scene was just actually really cool. And mostly we just get like snippets of like what their gravity powers can do. But in this case, yeah, the other Radiant Black can actually turn into gets its own mech form, which is the way that's how they practice their powers. Meanwhile, this asshole is just like, oh, I have a cape form. Yay. Meanwhile, it's like, you can do so much more. And also, it didn't make me feel like a complete fool trying to theorizing that the dad could have been the person in red, since like the person in yellow is actually like an old person. So it's like, yeah, I wasn't completely off base here.
Nice. All right, that brings us to our last Image comic, which is Ultra Mega number 4. I ended up getting this cover.
So good. It's just such a great cover.
Yeah. So, I know Steven wished he was here with us, but he's busy. We will definitely get him on here sometime to talk about this book and other books, I promise. Let me just, I already had it bagged, so I'll pull it out here. Okay. Creators, James Herron, also artist and writer of it. Dave Stewart colored, Russ Wooden lettered. I'm just going to kick it straight over to you, Josue. What do you think?
Well, I mean, wait, did you actually get to read this issue?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, and you read the other ones?
I went back and read 3, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I missed it. I couldn't find it when I went to buy it.
So what do you think? Because you don't get to talk about this book enough or really at all. So I'm curious what you think about this, the bonkers of this shit, dude.
It's crazy, and it's a lot. I like it. I like the... What's the word I want to use? I like, not the nerve of it. That's not the right word. There's a certain, like... I don't give a fuck about this book that I really respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that they don't really seem to give a shit about people's feelings. Or not feelings, but you know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, you don't like this? Well, then this isn't the book for you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not 100% the book for me. I do like the art a lot because it reminds me of a lot of... Okay, so there's like stages of Image Comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first stage was like the McFarlane, Jim Lee era, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a stage after that where they started doing some weird, like, high-end art is very strange books.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me a lot of that era, is
Nice.
what I would say. And that's kind of what it is. It's really abstract. It's really gross, which isn't always my thing, but I do like the action a lot. And I like I guess the word I would say is breakneck speed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we fly through the story in this, which is really cool. So it's not lingering. There's not a 6-issue fight. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. What about you? Because I know this, and, it's not entirely my thing. I'm enjoying it, but it's not one of my favorites or anything. But that's why I wanted to kick it to you, because I want to see what you thought.
Man, well, I first and foremost, I do love it. Because it's just off the walls, like you said, breakneck speed, just craziness of shit that's happening. Episodic, like having these issues monthly like this or whenever they come out, is nice. Like, they're actually just crazy, but it's definitely it's definitely a trade read. It's not 100% linear, and if you kind of forget maybe 2 details of what happened for the actual story, you'll forget based on the whole craziness around it. So it's definitely something that you kind of have to read back to back just to get the full aspect of it. And y'all actually get to have enough time, because apparently this isn't going to come back until next fucking year.
Jesus, really? I didn't see that.
It's taking a break until 2022, and it's like, oh man, why? I'm going to miss this so much.
That's a long ass break.
Yeah. Trying to find it, but yeah, the trade will come out in October, so even then the next issue isn't going to come out until late after that.
Wow. Well, they're really thick issues too.
Not too. So, it does say that too, because I mean, it is James Herron just doing the whole thing and just basically just handing it over to Dave to fill in the coloring. But yeah, it is mostly all him just doing the story and plotting it out and see where it can go from here. But the first Ultra Mega collection hits the stores in October, and the second art will return in 2022. Not necessarily specific date. Where I guess we do get a little bit of a Ultra Mega with the whole Skybound X book, like that anthology of all the different Skybound books into one in that one shot. There's going to be a little mini about Ultra Mega that does continue from there, but not a whole thing.
Gotcha. All right, awesome. Well, guys, it's time to... Oh, no Vault books this week.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the big 2, and we're going to start with DC Comics. We have a total of 4 books. Josue, let's start you off with Superman Red and Blue number 4, please.
Okay. Superman, the anthology story based on 2 colors, red and blue, and a bunch of little mini stories about Superman. And in this case, I just have to highlight just some of the creators on these stories. That's the first one. It's Namorpus, written by Mark Waid and drawn by Audrey Walk. And
Mark Waid?
Yes.
Nice. Good catch, guys.
Prospect of Tomorrow, written and illustrated by Francis Manapul, which was actually really cool. A Little is a Lot by Robert Venditti, who's just been doing a bunch of shit right now that I've been reading too. Art by Aletha Martinez. And then The Man Who Was Doing Nothing by Michael W. Conrad, who's doing Wonder Woman, that I'm reading as well. art by Coley Hamner, and then hashtag Saved by Superman, written by Rich Duick, and art by Joe Quiones, which is literally the reason why I got it, just for my support for Rick. For Rich.
Yeah, Rick is awesome.
So, the first one, Namrapuss. And I really, really like this one. It's basically it takes place in the fifth dimension, and the whole thing is about Mr. Mixelplick. Is that the way you pronounce it?
Yeah.
So he's pretty much like on his dumps, that he's basically on a timeout to fucking with us in the third dimension because someone made him say his name, so he basically has a 90-day timeout to mess with us.
Right.
And the whole time he hates being home because everybody else is like him. So whenever he tries to pull a practical joke on someone, everybody just has a good sense of humor about it, and he can't really fuck with people. There's this great moment where there's like a total babe who's just interested in him, and it's like, hey, like, let's go on a date, let's go on a picnic and everything, and he's just like, like, sure, whatever. By the way, have some peanut brittle. And that scene in Community where Troy brings up the peanut brittle or the jelly beans, and she's like, oh shit, you're gonna trick me? Awesome, I love this. Like, no, I love a good practical joke. And she opens it and it's real peanut brittle. And she's like, what the fuck? Like, and she literally just just leaves him behind just because it was actually not a practical joke. And this is when Superman shows up. And now the tables have turned, and Superman has vowed to mess with him until he makes Superman say his name backwards. Enter the name, Namrapuss. And Superman is just doing a bunch of Golden Age silly ass shit to Mixelplick, and it's just driving him fucking crazy. And Mixelplick is just trying to concoct different ways to make him say it. Like, he runs like a diner, and there's like something in the menu with the name. He makes Superman enroll into like an actual university over there to make say the professor's name be the Superman name backwards, and nothing's working. There's an actual throwback reference to, I guess, somewhere in the Golden Age, or maybe even Silver, where apparently at one point Superman recorded Mixelplick's say his name so he can play it backwards out loud, and thus that's the way he beat him that time.
Yeah.
And he does it, but nothing happens. The little record says Namrapuss, but nothing happens. And he's just like, oh, what the fuck? He literally gives up. Like, he's just like almost like, dude, you fucking win. And at the end is like, what is Superman actually? What's his whole reasoning? Yeah, he basically just fucks with him, and he tries to make him see like, hey, you see, almost basically like, hey, you see how it's not nice? Like, I don't like it when you do it to me either. And yeah, that's what. Okay, sorry, I figured out what it was. Superman starts going into a Boy Scout Superman lecture, and the whole time it's agony for Mixelplick. He's literally just like covering his ears. He can't take this giant lecture and being like, hey, be nice onto others so like you can be happier. There's a great part where he's literally bonking his head on a tree to just make it stop. And then at the end, Clark just sighs and is like, I tried reasoning with you, foolish on me. And then he goes, Tenek, Clark, what? I didn't hear that. What? Poof.
Oh, that's great.
And Mixelplick just still doesn't get it. It's just like reveling and celebrating. And then Babe shows up and kisses him on the cheek, and he's just like, oh, wait, what? And she's like, oh, yeah, the nice man basically made me realize what you actually did. The whole prank of not being a prank was the prank. And then he's like, wait, what do you mean? Who the fuck told you? The nice man with the red cape. And now he's pissed off all over again because Superman ended up helping him out win the date. It was so great. I don't know why, I just love this one so much.
That's great.
The next one, the Francis Manipul, which is really good for like the art style. It's just blood red on the pages and just highlights on the blue everywhere. Really cool. Only because actually it does a highlight on one of my favorite Superman rogues that doesn't get enough love, and I wish they would do more stuff with him since he's already part Kryptonian, or at least a copy of it. But it's about Bizarro. He's basically stuck on Mars, which is a great reference because like we're gonna talk about Mars later. But he's stuck on Mars, like basically a satellite or a rover just like ended up crashing on top of him, and he's basically almost like dying from like a blue kryptonite. Yeah, sorry, the meteor was a blue kryptonite, and not being able to move it, he was just almost dying. Just like the whole thing is like based on his perspective, and just like being super alone, and just like there's a part where he just started to blame Superman for something when Superman is the one that saves him, and just it's kind of thankful. It almost like kind of turning over a new leaf for him. Yeah, a couple more Superman stories. The other one I wanted to get. There's two bizarre stories. This is why I kind of really like this issue. The other one where he's alone, and it's kind of highlighting somebody kind of messes with him. What is it? Yeah, Mixel. It's really sad because Mixel kind of is the one that messes with him. Again, another callback with him, and now they're all together. And he makes Bizarro like have this weird like false memory or like just like weird interaction with like the Justice League, like, oh, it's your birthday, happy birthday, and they all basically just like plan to like make fun of him at the end. Like his present is like a mirror and it says like false copy, and like they all start pointing at him, and he's like, it's really fucking sad. And at the end, he busts out from like his fortress of multitude, and you see that it's Mixoplate that was just like messing with him. And at the end, Superman is there to kind of like, hey, I heard it was your birthday, so he kind of brings him a cupcake. So it's really nice at the end. And now for the Rich Duick story, it goes really quick, it being the last one. But it's basically this little fucker, this YouTuber made it to the rooftop of the Daily Planet with his little camera, and he slips, and thus obviously Superman hears it, saves him, and instead of saying thank you, he goes back to his vloggers like, yo, did you guys see that? And then it becomes a whole viral challenge. Basically, put yourself in danger.
Good God.
And Superman will come and save you, and yay, views and likes. And it happens everywhere. And until I guess there's one point where it comes back to like the first kid, and he does save him from like the other challenge again. But instead of putting him down, he takes him up to like the skies and like kind of scare him straight. But he basically gives like a little lecture. It's like, yo, you see all this? This is everything I'm trying to save, apart from doing Outworld shit, apart from doing Lex's bullshit, apart from my Rogues Gallery. I gotta do this bullshit. So please, almost just like, I'm not like Batman where I would make you stop, so I'm asking you to stop. So it kind of gets like a real moment with Superman. So it's kind of it does make him stop, hopefully. But it was kind of like, holy shit! Imagine a Metropolis viral challenge where you just have to like throw yourself base jump without a parachute, hoping Superman will catch you.
No, fuck that, dude.
Fuck that shit. So yeah, that was the end of that book. It was a good anthology series. At least this one was.
Nice. Is that the last issue?
Oh, no, this issue was. I think the next one might be the last one.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, I got a couple DC books. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Nomenclature aside. No. Actually, let's address it. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is not a title I enjoy. She should just be Superwoman. There's not a Superwoman anymore. Why isn't she Superwoman?
Oh, yeah.
She's 21 years old in this story. She's Superwoman.
Yeah.
That's annoying. So, but I do enjoy the book. That's just, I want to get that out of the way. That just
Is this an ongoing or a mini? Could be a setup into
it's a mini. It's one of 8.
I mean, that'd be cool. Like the whole like subtitle "Woman of Tomorrow" is set up to an ongoing for Superwoman, or to get the title.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, yeah.
Hopefully.
So, written by Tom King, drawn by Boquist Evely,
Nice.
and colored by Matthias Lopes, and lettered by Clayton Cowles. So this was a very strange book, but I loved it. So you can see the style is kind of like the one from Future State, which I really enjoyed.
Right.
And Crypto is involved. Crypto's chilling with her and stuff. But the entire book is spent with this young girl. And it's in this world with like swords and shit. And you find out that her father was killed by a wanderer. And you're like, what's going on here? And it's not until halfway through the book we even see Supergirl. And they're at this like fantasy bar. And this girl's like trying to hire somebody to kill the guy that killed her father. And the guy takes the sword she was going to use as payment and is like, thanks, I'm not going to do it. Like, basically, fuck you. And so she's trying to get the sword back. The guy backhands her. And then Supergirl is drunk at a table. And she's like, no, I'll give her sword back. And so she picks this fight. And you're like, what the fuck is she doing? Where the fuck is she? Like, is she back in time? What's happening here? She beats the dude up, gives her the sword back, and the girl's like, can you help me kill the guy that killed my father? And she's like, no, I don't do that. She's like, I'm only on your planet because it has a red sun, and it lets me get drunk, basically, on her 21st birthday. So she's about to take off in her ship, and the dude that killed her father finds them and shoots Supergirl in the chest with an arrow under a red sun. That's bad news.
Yeah.
And then Crypto attacks, and he shoots Crypto in the neck.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so they're basically trying to recover. The dude jumps in her spaceship, which was already ready to take off, and he takes off in her ship, and now she's trapped on this planet. So it's going to be like a fantasy epic, but with Supergirl.
That's cool.
And I think that's a really cool idea. Like, that's not something I've seen like DC do outside of Gem World, which is a lot of fun, but still. So I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it. I've had my past issues with Tom King, but we've settled our beef. He doesn't know that we had beef, but yeah, we settled it.
We settled our differences. That's great. Good.
Yeah. So let's just say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Yeah. Next up, Josue, did you get both of these other books, or do you only have one DC book left?
I got 2 left.
Okay, good. We will start with Nightwing.
Ooh, okay.
Nightwing 81. This Pride cover is all the sex.
Yeah, I almost went with it. It was just like the one before, the variant I got last time. That to me was all the sex, and this one was really good too.
Yeah. So, okay, let's just do creative team, just to get that over with, because we have feelings about this, good feelings, good feelings. As you guys know, Nightwing has basically been the best book that DC is putting out, and that has not changed. Is what we'll say. Oh God, DC, just put the credits at the beginning. It doesn't have to be artistic.
It's like the second page in.
Is it? I went right past it.
1, 2, and then it's right there in the fire.
Oh, it's all tiny. Damn it. Okay. All right. Written by Tom Taylor, drawn by Bruno Redondo, colored by Adriano Lucas, and lettered by Wes Abbott. So when we left off, Nightwing was about to fight Heartless. We do get a very short fight between them, but that's not the point of this issue. Mm-hmm. It's one of those "I'll get you next time" moments.
Yeah.
It's a really great moment where Nightwing, basically, these kids are stuck on a destroyed dock, and he basically is like, well, open me up to the maritime channels. And they're like, do you really think people are going to help? Yes, everybody helps.
Yeah.
Actually, everybody who's ever been a creative person in DC apparently helps, because all the ships are named after creators in DC, which I thought was great.
This is the Sealy.
Yeah, the Sealy. Yeah. I was like, okay.
At that point, you start catching on, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, all right then. But yeah, they save him. It's great. And you're like, oh, what a fun story. It's not over. It's not nearly over.
Okay, before we move on to the big stuff, we need to talk about Bitewing. Bitewing is a great puppy name.
So Dick wakes up with Barbara and Tim there. He has a concussion. His dog that he got in the previous issues, Tim is named Bitewing. And he's like, that's actually a great name, but her name is Haley. I like Haley more, personally. But Bitewing is a good pun. I like that. And they find out, okay, so this is the woman that's now mayor of Bloodhaven. Mayor Zuko. She's from the Zuko crime family, but she wasn't actually raised by the Zuko crime family. She was raised by the Maroni crime family, which is much worse.
Yeah.
And Dick is like, great. And he's like, well, we're going to go adventure. And they're like, no, you have a fucking concussion. Sit the fuck down, drink some water, relax. They leave. Of course he doesn't. He's breaking in, and Barbara's like, hey, what are you doing over the communicator? He's like, oh, I'm resting. She's like, you're still wearing my camera, right? It's like, it's so good. And what's the first thing that happens to him? He gets hit in the head again. And he gets hit in the head by the young lady in question, Mayor Zuko. He's out cold. He wakes up, and his mask is off. And this is when I was like, something big's about to happen. His mask is off, and Mayor Zuko's looking at him, and she goes, Dick Grayson? And he goes, you know me? He goes, I know you too. You worked for the Maroni crime family. You're the daughter of Tony Zuko. She's like, no, I'm not. I thought I was for a long time, but I am the truth. My real father was named John Grayson. I'm your sister. Boom.
Do not take this away from me, DC. Like, you cannot just bait and switch this and just drop a bomb like this.
Also, she's really hot. I love this. I hope she's not, I hope she's undercover and she's not a real villain.
Yeah.
Which, her knowing his identity, that would kind of make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then maybe she can become a vigilante later. That'd be really cool. I'd be down with that. So,
or
I
just,
really enjoyed
the
it.
mayor, like Bloodhaven is in good hands, knowing he can trust her.
Yeah. So yeah, what'd you think? I fucking loved it. So,
I mean, I guess first and foremost, if possible, if you can get a patent, or if you can just call dibs on a color, Adriano deserves this blue. Like, this blue, it should just be his for forever. Because oh my god, to just make it pop in the fire, to just make it contrast beautifully, but not glaring, or just not make it seem out of place over fire, over anything, it's just awesome. Like, this blue is just really cool. And then Dick is a monster. I mean, like, we've been rooting for him in this great book, but how do you leave Bitewing like that? And how would you leave the bed like that, knowing you've been told you have a concussion, you need bed rest, and you would still leave that beautiful puppy like that? No, monster. Monster.
You do know who trained him, right? Like, that's literally probably, that was like one of the lessons he had to learn was like, if you feel like you have a concussion, go out anyways. Crime's not going to fight itself and shit. Yeah, I'm putting that one entirely on Bruce.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Okay, great. Next DC book, Static Shock Season 1. It's back, baby. I got this cover.
Oh, sick. I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, it's Martin Bro, so yeah. I really fucking enjoyed this book.
Oh, me too. 100%.
So good. I'm so glad to see Static back in a way that matters.
Yes.
So, creative team, written by Vita Ayala, layouts by Chris Cross, finishes and color by Nicholas Draper Ivy, and letters by Ann World. I gotta say, I love the art. This is... Oh, man. Okay, the art, it's not the same, but the only thing it reminds me of is We Only Find Them When They're Dead.
Oh, a little bit. The way the faces are, yeah, they're just so pretty.
Yeah, it's got some vibes of it, yeah. Like, specifically, like this last shot right here.
Yeah, I was just there too.
Yeah. So, for those of you, you're probably familiar with the character of Static Shock from the cartoon or from previous comics or something. This is part of the Milestone reboot. And it's fucking great. Pick it up. I don't know what else to tell you. It's just really, really good. It's a great young hero thing. I think Milestone's going to be separate of DC.
Okay.
So it's going to be its own universe, which is cool. What do you think?
No, I really liked it. I mean, like, and you're right. I think it might be separate for a while. Like, again, like with the whole subtitle being Season 1 type of thing, I'm wondering if this will be, I don't want to say rushed, but if they're going to be like more like slowing down telling the origins. Because again, this is only being static for a week. Meanwhile, the whole DC continuity is already well established and everybody's in their place. And we're kind of like starting Static over. I think we're kind of going to get like this slight origin tale as we kind of like rush into the time and maybe get him caught up. Because again, why wouldn't he be on Teen Titans or Teen Titans Academy as one of the teachers, or one of the actual one of the Titans instead of one of the Teen Titans before the Titans.
Plus, there's Black Lightning, and like they don't want to like have too much overlap. They want to keep them separate. I know some people that think Black Lightning is Static.
Oh,
and
Jesus!
He just changed his name. So.
Yeah. But other than that, like for a first issue, like it literally just jumped into being like a Volume 1 finale, like a first arc finale. Like the way just like bringing the fight to very personal, bringing the fight home, and just like being around a very dangerous situation, very dangerous scenario. Where it's like, damn, all right, let's fucking do this. It just felt very intense. Or also that part where you get a bit of the training bits where he can kind of manipulate or control fire based on the ionization of the lightning. That was really cool.
That was so Spider-Man.
Yes.
Like, that's the moment Peter would have, like, if I use the thing to do this and this, and it's like, yeah, that's totally awesome. And I like the reasoning behind it. You find out why he knows these things.
Yeah.
You find out why he knows how to fight. His dad taught him how to fight. Like,
Yes.
it's really good at building who he is, like building a foundation for the character. So, yep. Awesome. All right. Now we're going to move on to Marvel. And we don't have as many books as I thought we did. We just have a lot because I buy variant covers and my stack looks gigantic. So, Jose, start me off with Miles Morales 27.
Miles Morales 27, The Clone Saga. Issue number 27, Legacy 267. Saladin Ahmed as a writer, Carmen Garnedo as the artist, David Gurriel as a colorist, and Corey Petit as a lettering. So, we're doing Miles' take on his Clone Saga, only in this issue we get to reveal that they're not exactly clones, so we can't. It's not like Boo, Clone Saga on Spider Miles. So yeah, the trio of the God damn it, I'm already going to say other clones. Let's just say other clones. They got the drop on Spidey because he went there to destroy their lab, and then the leader of the clones was like, "Dude, you messed up our only cure. Now you've doomed us. Now you've killed us. So before we die, we're going to make you suffer." And basically, his messed up plan is to go to the hospital, pick up Mom to go home, and then have a little family meeting. And meanwhile, Miles can't do anything. Only the whole time he's able to kind of like slowly like rip the webbing that he's in from the inside. He figures out like this clone's webbing isn't as strong or isn't as pure as like the one that he makes or the one that he has. So they leave him there with like the one, because it's like the one that kind of looks the most normal one looks like Miles. There's like the actual spider looking one, and then like the blobby morphic one. He's the one that gets left behind to guard Miles. And the whole time he has like a heart to heart where it's just like, yo, I know that you don't really want to do this. I know that you're scared, and he's just like overpowering it on this whole thing. Help me out here. If you really are, if you say like that you're not a clone of me, but some way, I forget how like they're made, like the way that they're modified differently from all these different Miles. If all these people are Miles themselves, if they really truly believe that, then this is where he starts talking to them. You would know that this shit is wrong, and I wouldn't do this, so you shouldn't do this. And basically, he does help him out by when Miles rips out of like the webbing, he doesn't attack him. So he just does let him leave. First thing he gets there, it's where he starts zooming to the hospital. At the hospital, this shit starts happening because it starts becoming a ruse where the spider looking one is just like terrorizing the hospital. Rio is there kind of like making sure like what's going on. She sees quote unquote Spider-Man helping out everybody else. And meanwhile the spider one is just like still wreaking chaos. Mm-hmm. And when Miles does get there, the spider just like brainwashes him because like the spider one just has this like mind swiping ability. It's just very weird. But he's able to knock him out, and he realizes like, oh shit, this wasn't the real fight. Because the mom is still there. The mom is still there, and it's like, yo, so what happened? Because the whole time, fake Miles was logging into the computer for information to know where to go, where the house was. And yeah, we come back home, and fake Miles is there, very menacingly holding baby Billy. And it's like, no, please do not hurt this baby sister. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. It's just like kind of moving some pieces forward.
Gotcha. Nice. All right. I know this is a big one. Talk to me about Venom.
Oh, man. I was not ready for this. Venom number 35. Legacy issue number 200 by Donny Cates and a whole mess of team. I'll try to shut them out when I get to it. But yeah, post Eddie King in Black, as he is the new King in Black, God of the Symbiotes. Oh man. Okay. I thought we were ready. I thought I was ready to like, all right, I'm ready to tackle Ron B's and Al Ewing's take on Venom coming up next after this, but now I'm even more curious, and I almost kind of don't want it anymore just because of what happens here. Basically, him being the new God of Symbiotes has taken a very, very big tool. He can manipulate every single symbiote across the cosmos, all around Earth, everything. But it kind of becomes a whole Project Patron thing. It's literally been draining him. He's basically an old man now, and but most important than anything, he just wants to be a dad. He just wants to be a dad for Dylan. And it's not like he's like running out of time or anything. It's not like he's like now dying, but he's just fucking old, dude. Like, that's Eddie Brock now. And Dylan is still very much a teen. And the whole thing about, it's strange because he's only human. Noel was fucking Noel. But yeah, he's still trying to be a dad. And the whole time, and now, since he can just like have all the symbiotes, it's not that he doesn't want it, but his own symbiote is now basically Dylan's symbiote. He's like, he does like the whole guard dog thing that we've seen throughout Donny Cates' run. And with the super cool chain link leash, Dylan just gets around and gets to school that way, at least like to protect him. Because Dylan, post King in Black #5, he doesn't have his symbiote manipulating abilities anymore. He's just a normal boy, which is great. It's all fucking Eddie wanted for him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, then Sleeper shows up and is like, yo, duty calls. There's shit to do with the symbiote stuff. And Dylan, you're late for school anyway. And there's a great moment that I've been waiting for this whole time from the Donny Cates run, especially since it was Donny who brought it up ever since the beginning of his run. Dylan finally asks the other, Eddie's other, our original symbiote, what do I call you? It's like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, like, what's your name? I see. No one has ever asked that. I don't quite know how to answer that, really. And it's like, oh, fuck yeah, because it was this whole first callback is the original Vietnam symbiote wearing dude, the Vietnam guy, Rex. He was the one that called out Eddie. Is like, dude, do you even know its fucking name? And at that point, it never really got raised again. It never really got brought up because of everything that was happening. And it's explained so beautifully by it. You see, my kind, we don't have names, not like you. Each of us communicates with the host through a certain emotional vibration. This emotional pattern is how we distinguish ourselves from the collective hive. It wouldn't be pronounceable by human vocal cords. And it's like, so can I hear it? What? Your name, your emotional pattern, can I hear it? Well, yes, of course. Hold on tightly. And he just like, the dog just closes his eyes, like Simba just closes his eyes. And Dylan's like, the chain just like rattles a little bit and like a tear just drops down. It's like, thank you. Like, I needed that. You're very welcome, Dylan. Like, anytime. It's like, what? Like, yes, like, give me all this symbiote goodness that's always been there instead of just being a bunch of edgelord, like, goodness in its own way. But, oh my God, this is exactly what I fucking wanted. Meanwhile, there's another scene with Eddie and Spider-Man. Like, literally, it's Peter in a Spider-Man gig outfit at a random cafe, just shooting the shit. And Peter, Spider-Man, just like, yo, I'm really fucking sorry, like, about the whole symbiote thing, about bringing it to Earth. Like it was in my moment of weakness, not being strong enough, that I put on the suit and I brought it here anyway. And so I'm really fucking sorry. And he's like, dude, just shut up. The symbiotes have been here for thousands of years. It was in Vietnam. It was part of the Weapon Plus program. Beowulf and Grendel is based on them. This isn't on you. And Peter, who's just having like the mask is like up his nose because he's been eating, just has like a moment of clarity, like a moment of relief, like no words. It's really fucking cool where he's just like thinking it through and just like accepts it. Just like puts the mask back down and being like, okay, cool. It's almost like a burden was lifted off his shoulders. It's like, he doesn't really say like, you're right or thank you. It's just more like, cool. Like, cause like these two just also have like their own fucking history. So it's kind of like, yeah, from everyone else, he definitely needed to hear this from Eddie, which is actually really cool. I actually really dug this scene. And then, yeah, it's just a big fucking issue. Eddie's doing his God thing. It's just like, then taps into just everything. And then he starts talking about there's one last mission. There's one bit of symbiote that didn't get to make it back, and it's also out there, and something that he hasn't dealt with. The fucking Maker, the ultimate Reed Richards, the Maker, who's been an asshole and was able to. He brought his own symbiote, then tweaked out a little bit of Eddie's to kind of then like have his own control over it, and then he got ported over back to the Ultimate Universe, and that was the end of that. And this whole time, Eddie's literally giving the speech to everyone. He's around the table with the Avengers. He's at the fucking Quiet Council. That's fucking Eddie sitting there on an open chair in the Quiet Council, just talking to everybody, which is fucking crazy. There's a moment in space where he's also saying this to Silver Surfer, the Guardians, and their super dope matching fucking jackets. I really gonna want to read the series now. And yeah, he's basically telling everybody's like, yo, we need to handle the Maker. And everybody's like, oh, fucking Tony is just like, yeah, sure, it might not be that crazy though. Just giving a bullshit Tony answer. And Cap is like, no, for sure, like we'll look into it. And Cap's like, yo, and as I said before, you can still be part of the team. But Eddie's like, no, I'm actually really fucking busy. You need someone who can be here fucking full time. And I'm not that person. And Cap's like, cool. Do you have anyone in mind? In fact, I do. And you already know him. Enter Ryan Stegman art, and I'm already a fan. Anti-Venom, Flash Thompson, Agent Venom might be an Avenger soon, maybe, because we get a whole like mini story with him and kind of how he's been being back from the dead when it really hasn't been that long since he's been dead in Marvel time. So he's kind of struggling like who he should tell, if he should tell everybody like his family that he is back, because like technically they should still be mourning. But so he's kind of just like keeping it quiet. So he's still trying to figure it out, but he might be an Avenger. And there's a really great scene with Dylan and how he's just being bullied at school, and then like gets sent to the principal's office, and he's part of the blame instead of like focusing on the actual bully. But yeah, but anyway, on the way home, he's just like angry that he just doesn't have his powers anymore. And on the way home, he hears a lady in distress, so he doesn't hear a thing. He goes to help her out, even though the symbiote, the dog, is just like, but Eddie said to go home, but he's like, no, this is what he would do too. And of course, it's fucking Jack Leonard trying to mug a lady, and then like the dog basically transforms, like, and just like is almost going to kill Jack Leonard. Jack Leonard is just like, oh fuck, why symbiotes all over again? It's always him and symbiotes. So he shoots through the symbiote, and it hits Dylan right in the chest. Again, he doesn't have powers or symbiote powers anymore, so he's fucking dying. And Jack Leonard is like, oh shit, I didn't mean to. Just bounces, and the symbiote just basically wraps himself around Dylan. And this is where it gets really cool, because at this point he can kind of heal him while he's already kind of wearing the suit, and we get a super dope page of maybe a new form of Venom. Because like, you know, he was wearing the dog and the chain leash. Now the chains are wrapped around like armbands around the symbiote, and he just jumps. And then he jumps on Jack Lantern. Cuts you back home, and Dylan just comes out of the suit. Really cool. Basically, Eddie already knows what's been happening. He can see what's going on through all the symbiotes, and he's like, "No, it's cool. I mean, like, you did the right thing." And now here's where we might enter the new run, because while Eddie's gonna go do his space thing, and I mean, figure that shit out. Here at home, he's gonna have to leave Dylan behind. Only he will be protected with the fucking symbiote. Like, the classic symbiote is now Dylan's to control, or them to be together. And the new suit is definitely gonna be with the edgy chains on the sides, like on the arms. He actually looks really cool. And here's where it gets a little meta with Johnny Cates, and I actually really appreciate it, because like, I think it looks cool. It's big. Well, I want it to look scary. And Eddie goes, "You sure about the chains?" I don't know. I thought webs were maybe played out. Plus, all the comics I read growing up had chains. I just like them. That's totally Donny Cates, like, just like getting meta with it. And like, yeah, all the shit he probably read with the chains, and also like it. Yeah, like, Eddie did the whole web thing because he just piggybacked it off of Peter all those years ago. So he kind of ran with it. But now, after everything that Dylan and Eddie have done together, it's never really been about the spider issue or all the webs. So it kind of makes sense. So he literally is going to be using chains to just like reach and like grab into everything. So like, actually, that is really cool. Like, just like a new take on Venom, get like a whole new original take. So maybe this Dylan Venom will be Earth Venom, and while Eddie's just doing his space god thing out there. So that was pretty much like the end of this giant issue. It was so worth. It was so worth the run, and I just love that I've been kept been reading Venom this whole time. It does a whole 100 issue where it just shows you all the covers of all the times. And I was just like getting kind of emotional being like the few I do have from all those years ago that I just collected for the sake of covers. And then when I really started reading and it's like, and then you start seeing like the collection where like this whole thing, I have all of these here. I have all of these. And it's like, it just makes me feel good. It just makes me feel so good having all these. Nice. Big issue.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. I got a solo Marvel and it's Star Wars number 14.
Okay.
So this is the core Star Wars story, which follows the main characters from the original trilogy. So this is post-Empire, pre-Jedi.
Okay.
And it's also part of the War of the Bounty Hunters crossover, which is why I picked it up. Written by Charles Soule, drawn by Ramon Rosanas, colored by Rochelle Rosenberg, and lettered by Clayton Cowles. So this is Luke, Leia, Chewbacca, C-3PO, all of them, Lando finding out about Han being stolen, basically. So they're like, we'll get him back. It's pretty cool. Not a ton happens. It kind of sets up where we're going from here. There's a great story with Lando going on, too. However, there's a really cool story, a really cool bit in here where there's like a young woman sending Leia a message via hologram, and she's the one that's giving them, hey, this is where Han is, da, 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 da. And after it's over, Leia's like, I don't need to play you the rest, but the woman is Amelin Holdo. So it's Admiral Holdo from the new movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They introduced her, and basically they talked about her origin with Leia. She's like, I've known her since I was a teenager. I trust her with my life. So I like this. They're going back and they're filling in. They're making they're basically all the details that people who hate the last three movies.
Yeah.
They're like, well, where did this come from? They're going back and they're filling that in. You know what I mean? And so I think that's kind of cool. So, but not a ton happens, but I'm really enjoying the crossovers. I mean, I know how it ends, but, you know, but it's good. It's good. So, next up, the rest of these we share. Mighty Valkyries, number 3.
Nice.
Written by Jason Aaron and Torn Gronbach. Art is by Mattia De Lillis, as well as Erica Durso. Coloring by Marcio Meniz, and letter by Joe Sabino. I love how it's like half and half.
I like that it's and then crossing over instead of just like story A, story B. Yeah.
They go back and forth. Like
yeah.
I'm half expecting them to have half a page one style and half a page the other style at some point.
So it's like almost ready to happen, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we get more information. We get to see Jane with the wolf while it's being hunted by Craven, and then we get a lot more about what's going on in the underworld with Carnilla and the babies that apparently she stole. So it's really cool. I love the art. It's just absolutely gorgeous. We get more with Loki. Loki's playing both sides. We get to see Runa. A lot going on in this issue. Runa gets the prophet back to where he's from, and he feels a lot better and stuff. So really good. I really like it. What do you think?
I definitely enjoyed this one. Again, it's just like one that's just like not necessarily important to like the overall Marvel like story, but if you just like the characters, you're definitely going to be into it. Especially with this scene with Hela, when she was just like out of her like being here. Like, it's still her domain, but she doesn't like go into like basically seeing her uncle, the giant snake dude, and just like picking up a tooth and just like making a staff out of it. It's like, yes, like this is like the cool Marvel magic I like to see. Yeah, it's great. So really good stuff. I'm curious to see where we're going with Jane. Yeah, me too. Children. So, yep. All right. Next up, let's start with our Heroes Reborn recap. Let's start with the core series, Heroes Reborn. Written by Jason Aaron, drawn by Aaron Cooter, and colored by Dean White. Backup stories written by Jason Aaron, penciled by Ed McGuinness, inked by Mark Morales, and colored by Matt Wilson, and it's all lettered by Corey Petit. So we spent this whole series meeting the squadron while also recruiting the Avengers. And this issue takes place, basically they're trying to find any trace of these Avengers. And it kind of checks in with every little different thing we've explored in the other books. And we find out that the Blur apparently his love is Mary Jane, and apparently the One More Day thing happened with him and Mary Jane. Yeah, in this world too, which is great. Like I love those little bits. But basically, they're like, well,
they end up in Wakanda, and no one knows Wakanda's Wakanda in this world because they've never openly been there. And they're there, and they're like, "What's going on here?" And Blur hyper hacks the shield. The shield goes down, and we get the confrontation: Avengers versus Squadron, which will be in the next issue. I'm assuming the Heroes Return issue. So
Yeah.
The backup story at the end focuses on President Coulson, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, and it kind of hints that this might all have been him that did this.
Oh yeah.
Because it said, "We made your dreams come true." There's, I remade the world in your image. So either, it's just really interesting. So, but you find out that J. Jonah Jameson is his press secretary and Thunderbolt Ross is vice president, and he murders both of them to blame it on Wakanda, of course. So it's really interesting. I really dug it. I cannot wait for the next issue. I want to see this fight. It's going to be great.
I know, to finally see this long coming fight. I definitely like this issue being with the callbacks that never happened, like the opening sequence to this Civil War. It was like, damn, it would be pretty heated if this Batman, not Batman, was a congressman and still had this particular issue for the Registration Act, being against it, but he probably had to have a different face as the real guy. So it's kind of like, it was just very interesting painting that story. And then also because we have this thing where we read it, and it's like the quote unquote Batman Nightwing thing, but with the underlaying of all the Spider-Man rogues and mythos. Mm-hmm. I like that. It's like, and when Hyperion is like, and look at yourself, you have to go back to using that fucking symbiote thing. It's like, it's still holding on to like the whole Spider-Man mythos. Like, this Batman had to use symbiote, and it's like, oh, that's actually really interesting. I do kind of want to read that.
Yeah.
The other one I kind of did want to read. What was the other callback that does this? No, I mean, like, this one, the fucking, the Dark Avengers, the Dark Squadron.
Yes.
This team was really cool. This inverted Moon Knight, this all black Nova, Sentry, whatever. Mm-hmm. But a Valkyrie is part of the Dark Avengers, Dark Squadron, and then a speedster, Ghost Rider. Hell yes.
Runner.
Yeah, that was like a Ghost Runner, like a speedster for a Ghost Rider. Like, I want to see this team in action.
Yeah. Dope. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm liking it. I like that we had little windows and they cut away, and you're like, damn it.
I know, yeah.
So, next up, the Other Heroes Reborn book for the week, Weapon X and Final Flight.
Ooh.
Written by Ed Brisson, drawn by Roland Bolschi, colored by Chris O'Halloran, and lettered by Corey Petit. I really liked this one. This is one of my favorite of the one-shots, I think, for Heroes Reborn. But that might be because I absolutely love Alpha Flight. I have such a weakness for Alpha Flight.
Did you end up hating the Blur this week? Because he was just a monster this week.
He was way too much.
Yeah.
He was super... I think they did a really good job of starting them off as more likable with like, oh, that's weird. Like something's off. Mm-hmm. And then as the weeks go by, as issues come out, the Squadron gets less and less likable. Which I really liked. So this week he was borderline like hateable.
For sure. I was gonna say like his callback, his like amusement of like be like, oh, I get to knock twins as a kill list instead of like this like the perverted way. Just like, man, like who the fuck is this dude? And then it's just like was it Nighthawk and another one and Hyperion, and you're just like hearing this shit and just like letting it slide. It's like, what the fuck? It's so dark.
Yeah, exactly. So
but in this one it was just like the little backstory of like when supposedly Wolverine killed Hyperion.
Yeah, so he killed Hyperion, but they were able to bring him back alive because it's Hyperion. And yeah, basically they already annexed a bunch of Canada, and they're like, well, no, we're going to stop you from taking the rest of Canada. So, Alpha Flight's in the right in this case. Mm-hmm. And in the end, Sasquatch trades Wolverine's life for Canada. And Wolverine is dropped on a lifeless planet with no oxygen where he'll choke forever, basically. Although, depending on your canon, because I remember there was a what if where Wolverine was thrown into space and he died immediately, so depends on your canon, I guess. So, but yeah, dark as fuck, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. So.
Oh no, varies, especially where it's like the whole team just walking away in the end. Like, yeah, I guess in the end it was the better decision. More lives were saved this way, but at that what cost? Like Sasquatch cost, on his knees and everybody just walking away is like, oh fuck, very brutal, very dark books.
Yeah. All right, now we're going to switch over to our X-Men section, and we're going to start with Demon Days.
Yes.
Which it took a while to get to us from the last issue, but I'm very excited it's back. I got both.
Yeah, you got both. I need to go back for the cover A, but this one's just so beautiful.
Demon Days Mariko. So, of course, Peach Momoko does story and art. Zach Davison assisted with the translation. By the way, he actually does a lot of translation. If you see pretty much any Japanese story translated to comics, Zach Davison usually does the interpretation.
Nice.
So, and Ariana Mayer doing the lettering. I really liked this one.
Dude,
it's
fuck
so
yeah, right?
good. Basically, it's the story of a young girl named Mariko, which is obviously, a character in Marvel that we know. It also features Kuroki, who ends up being Black Widow. And basically, Mariko finds out that her mother was an Oni, and that she's basically trying to find out who she is and everything. And there's another Oni that subsists on the blood of Onis, and is trying to basically capture her, but Black Widow decides to defend her. Black Widow's a traitor, but she's just like, but I grew to love you. And the moments where they show where she's like little girl Mariko with Black Widow, and like she's hugging her and stuff like that, I was like, that's really sweet. Like this page right here.
Yes.
That was just fucking adorable. So I really enjoyed that. But yeah, and it sets up really well, I think, going into the next issue, where I think this is going to be like an actual ongoing story coming into it. And the next issue is going to be Cursed Web, which it does look like Mariko's coming back. I don't know who all is going to get involved in this. With it, that looks like Mystique, personally.
Mystique, Sabretooth, yeah. And like the way the hood hangs on that one with the pink, could it be like a Gwenpool? No, it's not Gwenpool, but Spider-Gwen. They don't make her blind, but...
Yeah. But they did name it at the top, the next installment of the Yoshida saga.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool. So it's all going to be about Mariko and ongoing. I really liked it. Very beautiful art.
Oh, very. I love this kind of like, wrong word, twisted take, but I love these like just different takes on like, it's like ancient tales and then like throwing in like the Marvel universe into it and just like see how it just like flourishes, and it's so pretty.
Yeah. Next up, New Mutants, number 19.
Oh, New Mutants, okay.
Cover A.
Yeah.
This one.
Nice.
This one.
Ooh.
So, which is funny, Monet's on the cover of New Mutants. Not X-Corp, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay. So, New Mutants, Hellfire Gala Saga. Written by Vita Ayala, drawn by Alex Linz, colored by Matt Mia, and lettered by Travis Lanham. So, a lot of this is dedicated to Warlock, and him trying to find a place now that Doug is, married. Mm-hmm. And I should say before we get started, New Mutants is one of those, we talk about it sometimes, how there's like 6 stories going on at once. So, for us to sum up everything, we're going to miss something. But there's a big chunk of it that's about Warlock. There's a big chunk of it about Karma, Mirage, Wolfsbane going on. Karma makes a great appearance. Her outfit looks hilarious. But it's great. It works for her. And then they shut down this sexist douchebag, which is
yeah.
I think it's interesting that Wolfsbane did not dress up, and I think it's interesting that Wolfsbane is in wolf form the entire time they're talking, with Shadow King fucking with her head. And then also we get to check in with the kids at the end, which we'll talk about in a moment. But I love the New Mutants Forever group chat. That was probably my favorite info page they've ever done.
So fucking funny.
It's just great all the way through. Just fucking Ileana just poking over and over. They talk about who they voted for.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Yes.
And the only one who voted for him was Sam. And Sam is like, his name is Salmon Ball. And he's like, why is my name Salmon Ball?
Mostar chose right, but I love that Magic and Doug have my back with Marrow and Tempo.
Yeah, exactly. So I just love that it opens up with Berto being like, this was a farce. I love him. And then he leaves the chat. It's so great.
Well, I love that he's actually pissed. Like, he makes it a point that he's just pissed, and we all know why, that he just wasn't part of the X-Men.
Yeah. He doesn't even want to be an X-Men. He wanted to be chosen. That's the thing. So... but yeah, we get this near the end. We get this monologue from somebody, and we find out that it's the Shadow King.
Yeah,
and it ends with "Goodbye, Gabrielle Kinney," And then it says much later on Mars. We'll talk about that in a moment. And the young kids that have been corrupted by the Shadow King find Scout dead. She better be able to come back. There better not be some dumb shit. Like
I definitely got emotional here. Even when I'm trying to explain to Sochi like the importance of all this, like the Dawn of X thing, one of the highlights I always try to bring back to her, like, or at least like why I love this book so much, is Scout and how important she is, and it always comes back to like, and then like basically after explaining all the whole resurrection process, and then I explained to her that she's a clone, and that she's been one of the few that has asked what happens after. And every time I just start getting emotional because like I don't even want to think about it. And now it's fucking happening. I just like, fuck, dude. I was, oh my god.
I'm genuinely hoping that Shadow King didn't take control of her body or something. I'm worried he did a body snatch, or if they do bring her back, he'll jump into her body before she can or something, because that's what he does. Mm-hmm. He's a possession guy, so I'm kind of curious to see where that goes. I'm also wondering how she died.
Mm-hmm.
Did he possess one of the students without them knowing and use them to kill her?
Oh, God.
Because he's not exactly a physical force.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm kind of worried. There's a lot of ways this could go. I
thought she always had just like the one scar. It makes it seem like she has like two going down both eyes.
I thought she had two. Maybe I'm misremembering. So, but anyways, very, very interesting to see where that goes. X-Core number 2.
Okay.
Written by Teenie Howard. Drawn by Alberto Foce. Colored by Sunny Go. Letter by Clayton Cowles. I really liked this issue. I love this book so much. It's just a superpowered corporation. It's literally in the name. But it's them forming a corporation. And it's the business dealings and having meetings. And it sounds boring, but it's not. I absolutely love it. I love how much Madrox is in it, obviously, because I love Madrox, and he's basically all over this book.
And I've been curious about him because, like, I love that bit from the beginning that he's just been everybody's personal bartender.
Yeah,
like there's one person where it's like when they're trying to get an order, or the whole Feige moment, and like the in the beginning where she's like, I must not have you. It's like, oh shit, everybody has their own personal bartender with multiple men. This is great. But then I totally forgot that he should be one of the heads here. And then we definitely get a whole issue about him, or mostly a whole issue about him.
Yeah, where he doesn't feel like he is being respected.
Yeah.
So they have interviews with several people about being on the board, including. Okay, I'm unnecessarily excited about this, and I'm going to explain why. Neil Shara, Thunderbird. Okay. I fucking love Neil Shara Thunderbird. He's Thunderbird 3. Okay. He's not related to the other Thunderbirds. He's actually from India. But he is awesome. He's a fire-based hero. Mm-hmm. And he's really cool, but he appeared in Extreme X-Men, which everybody hated Extreme X-Men except me. I talk about it a lot. That's when Sage really got a big push. Thunderbird has been played down quite a bit for a long time. The fact they brought him back means that 2 of my favorite X-Men might be coming back, because they haven't been seen since basically M-Day. Okay. And that's Lifeguard and Slipstream. Ooh. I'm very excited. I hope so, because Neil had a romance with Lifeguard, and Slipstream is her brother. So fingers crossed. Just get out of it. Okay. Also interview with Sunspot, with Celine, with a human named Sarah St. John, and with Jason Wingard, Mastermind, the senior Mastermind that we recently saw in Hellions causing a bunch of shit. So that's interesting. But I like it because X-Core is like, we're here for results, basically. And I think that makes sense, So basically, to go through these interviews, they're varying different levels of success. I actually really like Jason's Mastermind's look with the goatee.
Yeah, the hair,
that looked good. So, but yeah, they basically break it to Jamie that he's probably not going to be on the board, which I was like, you bastards.
After what they just did to his lab, and they make it a point over and over about what happened.
Yeah. But so they get an unscheduled, quote, interview with Fenris, which are these 2 twins. They're Baron von Strucker's kids.
Yeah.
And they basically come off as like one entity a lot. So they try to break into X-Core. They stop them. And there's like some really cool moments. yeah, we'll talk about the spoilers. There's this whole thing where Monet congratulates Warren for not, turning to Archangel when he got upset, and then you find out that Mastermind actually caused an illusion to make it look like he was normal Angel when he was actually Archangel.
Yeah.
And in that case, they did put Mastermind on the board because he was very useful in the end.
He did prove himself. Like even from like his opening speech, it's like that should have been a done deal, and then to just but then play the Nazi children the way they did to just actually further prove the point, and then at the end being like the secrets between the two CXOs, and it's starting, and it's like, please don't start with all the bullshit.
Yeah. So and also I forgot to mention, obviously I got cover A.
Oh yeah.
But I also got this one, and I also got this one.
Oh, nice.
All these, by the way, connect.
Oh, cool.
It's one long mural.
Nice.
That's why I'm getting them all, so I can have them all. So yeah. But yeah, really, really good. Now.
Oh man, are we here now? Are we here, dude?
We've been recording for a while. We promise we will not take too long.
This is like the one book we need to take.
We have to get some feelings out. We don't have to go blow by blow. We don't have to go character by character because that would be an hour. Planet Size X-Men #1.
Oh
Written by Gary Dugan. Drawn by Pepe Larraz. Colored by Marte Gracia. Letter by Clayton Cowles.
I have the dumbest grin. I read this shit twice. It was so good.
It's the dumbest thing. Oh, so real quick, I obviously cover A. I also got this one.
Nice.
So, yeah. So we find out what the Omegas are up to. And it's more Omegas than we thought. Because some Omegas, I'm like, oh yeah, they're an Omega. And then also some Omegas from Ariko come out. Now, why did the Omegas from Ariko come out? Well, okay, how do we put this? Okay, we're just going to straight up say it.
It was literal, people. It was literal.
It's just the easiest way to say it. Planet Size was literal, yes. The mutants terraformed Mars. Entirely. It's entirely terraformed. It has its own weather system and everything now. And the mutants of Eriko, which we knew there were millions of them, that was one of the things we were told, have moved to Mars. And they built a spaceport and have declared Mars the capital of the solar system.
Yes.
Oh, God.
So cool.
It's so cool, but it's also like... like the other heroes are not gonna like this very much.
Oh fuck them! Like who said it? It was Storm. It's like they're about to have their own like pissy fit just because they couldn't get a planet that they wouldn't be able to get to in a few generations anyway. Yeah. Fuck the humans.
Yeah. Well, also the declaring them being the capital is kind of like presumptuous. I think, so. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of Omegas working together. I like that Quentin was basically in charge.
Yeah.
I thought that's so strange. Like they've really come a long way trusting Quentin, which I think is great. But yeah, so now Mars is basically the first mutant planet. Actually, I think that's the quote at the end is the big splash page. It says, let me get it pulled up here. It says, Eriko is the first mutant world. Attempt no landing except at Port Prometheus. Eriko is the capital of this solar system. Hold fast for a message from the regent of Sol. So, dude, this is like this just changes the Marvel universe. That's just the easiest way to say it. Fundamentally. And the cool thing is, we know there's a space crossover coming up with the Snark War. And we know it's going to cross over with Guardians as well as Sword. This has obviously got to be part of that, right?
Oh, fuck. I mean, are we expecting an ongoing or a book series on Mars?
Of just Eriko?
Is there life on Mars? Is it going to be like the name of the first volume?
That's so cool, dude. Yeah, dude, it's great. It's fundamentally groundbreaking. It's changing, world changing, like, it's just incredible. I absolutely loved it.
The first page flip. The shot of Magneto doing what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Like, just like, what's the line? Iron will not present a problem. Just like, fuck, yes, the whole opening sequence. What was the line I just really liked? luck and time when need to be on your side, but you'll have Prometheus and hope, and that's even better.
Yes. I love it because one of the things, and again, we talk about a lot, people shit on the big two, but if you're not reading X-Men, you have no right to criticize the big two. Because this is some of the most creative shit in comics.
Yes.
It's not just superhero shit, like
this
so
happening was just like, what the fuck? Making Excalibur all over worth it.
Yeah. It's just absolutely amazing story. It's so creative. And it's great because they get all these Omega mutants together and you realize, God, they have a lot of fucking power.
Yes.
And they all work together. That's a pretty impressive force. Like, there's not a lot of people.
And they even make it a point.
I can't think of a single threat that could take out all the Omega mutants.
Together, like, oh my god, a book series on that alone, just like them as a team, we're just going out there.
Omega X. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So
no,
it was great seeing them all work together. Like I said, Jamie Braddock even helped, which was hilarious. He gave birth because he took it too seriously. Because he's
oh my god, he took me literal.
I mean that's Jamie.
So. That's Jamie.
But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to see where it's going. What do you think?
No, me too. Especially in the end, where like they make it a point where, or touching on the first point with the Omegas, where they were like almost like, "Yo, are we sure about this? Like, do we need a Legion?" And then fucking Magneto just saying it first publicly, so that Legion didn't say it first. Where it's just like, "No, it's cool. I don't trust him yet." No. He said that to you first. You can't just say what he said. You can't say what he said. And then we'll just gloss over the fucking Franklin Richards line. Just like, I hate that they're just making that a thing.
That was interesting. I liked it actually.
I hate that they're just making it a thing. I'm so not over it.
I know you're upset he's not immune.
Yeah, but
it was really interesting given Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, the emotional state of Magneto for it. I thought it was a good character line.
Yeah.
So next week we get Wolverine, Way of X, and Sword. And already I'm looking at Way of X.
Way of X is interesting because this whole time, Nightcrawler has just been drunk as fuck, but just not being silly. He's just been actually asking the good questions to the specific people. Like right now, New Mutants asking the whole Valkyrie thing. Going to Danny and asking, like, yo, how does the Valkyrie thing actually work? We should talk. I really want to.
It's going to be philosophical as hell.
Hella, yeah.
And then Sword is next week.
And that one's like tabbed red too, so that's one of the important ones.
Yeah, exactly. So
one of my last things here on Planet Size is the fucking statues.
I know.
The fucking statues.
I can't wait for Apocalypse to come back.
And
I've
what
never
was
thought
said.
I'd miss Apocalypse.
Yeah, dude, I know. He should definitely be here. Especially because like he's actually being remembered. Like, no war will be made in this valley. It is a sacred place to remember the ones that did not reach this promised land. And it's like, we miss you, buddy. We fucking miss you. It's time to come home.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us on We Have Issues. Oh, boy. It's been a lot. So, you can always check us out at We Have Issues is on Twitter at WHI Podcast. I am on Twitter at WHI Podcast Keith. Our producer Liz is on WHI Podcast Liz. Check us out as well at our sister show, Jukebox Vertigo, at Jukebox Vertigo. And keep an eye out for our Pride episode that came out this week and was one of my favorite episodes. I listened to it twice. I loved it. So it was so much fun and such great guests. I'm really excited about it. So, and also check out Josue at Josue Reads Josue. But that's everything. Josue, you want to plug anything else?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything off the top of my head right now.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Well, so join us as always for next week's show. Oh, we do have actually something else to plug. Just so you guys know, we are going to be debuting a new podcast from our friend Crozen.
Yes.
We're going to be helping him launch this. It's all his baby, but we're going to definitely be there with him. And it's called Podcast Ultra. So you can check that out on Twitter as well. And as soon as I find the Podcast Ultra login, it's going to be video game based. And our first episode is actually it's Ultra_pod, by the way, is the Twitter.
Nice.
Our first episode is going to be about E3. So we're going to, we're definitely going to be going over all that. It wasn't the most eventful E3. That's probably what we're mostly going to talk about. But there were definitely some highlights, and I can't wait to see what you guys thought. And we're going to count down the things we like the most and talk about the disappointments as well. So, once again, that Twitter is ultra_pod, and our host Crozen is Crozen_. So, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. You can always check us out on Geek Elite Media as well, at Geek Elite Media, as well as geekelitemedia.com. And don't forget to always geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.